I'm now a professional bare knuckle boxer. I've fought in the O2 in London. I've done podcasts with yourself, Liam Tufts, Kevin Lane. Like 14-year-old me would love the person I am today. If he had any idea what was coming, what are we, like 20 minutes in? I'm on the verge of tears already. Yes, I'm capable of, getting involved into some violent fights, but that's not the person I want to be remembered as.
You're a bare knuckle fighter, but the moment I met you, I realised that you're actually a gentle giant. How old were you when you got into bare knuckle?
A year ago.
What?
I'm not in it because violence appeals to me. I'm in it because it's a positive journey. It's something that has seen me through some of my darkest times. My dad was a good guy. He was a good guy. He was one of the strongest, most caring individuals you could meet. In the run-up to the fight with Brad, my dad was poorly. I've got to go down to London. Whatever happens, Dad, I'm leaving on Thursday at 10 a.m. I've got to weigh in. I've got to do all this fucking media shit. I said, I don't want to leave you. And like jokingly, I said to him, I was like, so if you're going to croak it, Dad, now's a fucking convenient time to do it because I don't want you to be on your own. I feel like he just wanted to spend as much time with me as he could before he went.
He did. That is definitely what he wanted. Something so brutal can be so beautiful at the same. It's the polarity of life, isn't it?
It's almost poetic.
So, Aaron.
Ella.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me.
I had the last episode that's gone out is Marcus, and Marcus was here for the the same you are, which is Danny Harkins.
Yeah, Danny Harkins, very connected. He knows everybody in the dog.
And it's really lovely that he trusts me with all these people that he knows because it's the best way to do business in any sort of way, shape or form. And I appreciate you coming because it's a Saturday and giving up your time is really important to me, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And we've just been speaking, and I always make the mistake of finding out way too much information before we start because I now know your story really well. And I think you've got a really interesting story. I know you've done other podcasts, and I realise that some angles taken on you may show more of a different side of you than what I'm going to show today. But I feel like your story is really interesting from a male perspective, but also from the job that I do. I find so many juicy bits in there in terms of behaviour and why people do the things they do. So for those that haven't seen you before, I'll give a bit of context. You're a bare knuckle fighter, but the moment I met you, I realised that you're actually a gentle giant.
I do try.
You do. Well, you give off that energy to me anyway. So, if you hear bare knuckle fighter, I think we all have a bit of a preconceived idea about what that person might be like. But it's definitely not the case with you.
I do get this quite a lot, to be fair. Because I think the general consensus for bare knuckle boxers is brainless savages, low IQ, but just high testosterone. But that's not me.
No.
I'm not that guy.
No.
Yes, I'm capable of getting involved into some violent fights, but that's not the person I am. That's not the person I want to be remembered as. Yes, obviously I do want that as part of my legacy. He's a bare knuckle boxer. He's something to be proud of.
Of course.
But I'm not in it just because I can't do anything else.
No.
I'm not in it because violence appeals to me. I'm in it because it's a positive journey. It's something that has seen me through some of my darkest times.
Exactly.
And it's got me from the lowest point of my life to where I am now, which is the best place in my life.
Well, you've channeled so much into it, which we'll find out. But you're also part of a well-known bike club. And again, there's quite a few sort of stories floating around about that particular club. But I said to you just a moment ago, I actually feel like from what I know, from what I've heard, not just from you, but from other people, that a large proportion of what that bike club offers is actually missing in society now. So there might be some parts of that people don't fully understand, or that people have heard that, have created this imaginary sort of version of it in their heads. But actually there's so much of what that club does that I think is misinterpreted and misunderstood and perhaps not known about widely. So without meaning to take up too much of the time myself, I'd like to start with where you're comfortable really, and how did the little boy that you were become this bare knuckle fighter. That's going to be a very interesting journey, I'm sure.
Okay, so I'll start with my childhood. So I was born in 1988. My mother and father both worked. I've got 6 sisters. Only 4 of them lived with us. 2 were my dad's from a previous marriage. When I was 3 years old, my mother left my father. She actually had an affair and moved off with her new husband. Now, contrary to what normally happens in that relationship breakdown, all the kids stayed with my dad. Now, my dad was a copper, so he was juggling, obviously, police shift, so it'd be 2 till 10 one day and then whatever the next, while raising me and my 4 sisters. Now, my dad had, you could call it depression. I don't think it was ever diagnosed. I don't think he had time to go to the doctors, to be honest, to get diagnosed. But he sort of self-medicated with drink. And, yeah, he had his struggles. We were loved. There was no shortage of love in my house. My dad was, he was my hero when I was a kid, and he's still my hero now. My dad was a good guy. He was a good guy. He was one of the strongest, most caring individuals you could meet. The fact that he could hold down a full-time job and parent me and my 4 sisters is a testament to who he was in itself. When you add into the fact that one of my sisters has got cerebral palsy, she's fully disabled. She can't walk. She can't talk.
So he was looking after her and another 3 kids.
Yeah, with the help of babysitters and family members and whatever else. But by and large, he carried us all himself.
Wow.
I feel like that's important because that sort of comes back into it later with my mindset and how I am and how I look at parenting my daughter and caring for the people around me, because I think a lot of dads aren't like me. A lot of dads are, you know, they take the kids to the football and they take them to the cinema and whatever else, but I've got a genuine care for my daughter. I know a lot of dads have. I'm not putting dads down as a whole, but I know a lot of dads that they don't know what the kid's favourite colour is. They don't know what the kid's best mate's name is at school.
How old's your daughter?
She's 9 now.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't. I've only got my dad to thank for a lot of my personality. So yeah, they separated when I was 3. Dad struggled on parenting us. He was consistently auditioning various women for the role of our new mom. That is in his own words as well. He was constantly trying to find us a new mom.
You can understand why, really, can't you?
Yeah. I'm not naive enough to think that anyone can do that on their own for a long period of time. Short term, yes, maybe. But long term, it's not going to happen.
No.
There's too much of a mental strain involved. Especially
when you have a severely disabled child.
Yeah. Well, you've got to understand, Dad was... I mean, Sam would have been 13, 14 at the time. Dad's having to change nappies on a 13, 14-year-old girl. He's having to carry her in and out of the car.
Of course.
What made matters worse, I think Dad was quite bitter about the breakup, understandably. We came from a house that was owned by my mum and dad, that Dad had paid to have converted so that there was a mechanical lift. We had an extension put on the house. There was a mechanical lift that would lift my sister from her bed into the bath, into the changing area and whatever else. And obviously when they separated, all of that went.
Oh, God,
It gets worse. Dad couldn't afford the house on his own, couldn't afford to buy Mum out of the house. But Mum and her new partner could afford to buy Dad out of the house.
So they had all of that even though your sister wasn't there?
Yeah. Dad being Dad, just to twist the knife, ripped the motorbike, ripped the crane out of the house and reinstalled it in the garage at the further house so he could lift his motorbike engines and whatever else. So we still got some use out of it. But yeah, so we then went from that house to the house on Queensway, Woollisco to Starbridge, which is pretty much where I've spent most of my life since. which was a police house. Now, the police used to do a scheme where they'd retain properties and then sort of rent them back to police officers.
Yeah, I seem to remember that, actually. A couple around here.
It's not a thing anymore. They've sort of slowly sold them off over the years,
Right.
obviously budget cuts and whatever else. But from what I understand, we had it massively discounted. So Dad had a bit more money around him to pay childminders and babysitters.
Well, thank
and whatever.
God he needed it.
Yeah, we did. Money was never in abundance when we were younger. Up until the age of, I think I was 24, the first time I went on like an abroad holiday. We never had anything really. We never had days out. Dad would do what he could with us, trip to the park. It was always like go for a walk in the woods, go to a nature reserve, things that didn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Go and borrow a friend's caravan. It was always that sort of thing. And again, I massively appreciate what he did with what he had, because he could have just done nothing.
Yeah, true.
He could have put us all in
care.
Yeah, and it was suggested by my mum.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. That's
painful, even just to think that someone would consider people to be that. It's like, don't need that bag anymore. Just pass it on.
I'm not going to judge my mum too heavily because I don't know what she was going through at the time.
But it hurts, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah. There's a lot of it that hurts, especially the way my dad's life panned out in his later years. A lot of it stemmed from the breakup with Mom. He never really found his happiness. He never really found his stability. He had flits of it. But yeah, I'm not going to say he died a lonely old man because he didn't. He had us. But he never found that replacement for Mom.
No. That hurts just thinking about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this is the nature of life.
But it's not that easy. I know that was a really profound moment there. We're not even into the story yet. When people go, that's the nature of life, it is, but also for people that have gone through similar things to you, maybe grown up with one parent doing most of the care, and to lose that parent and then to do what you're doing today, which is to recount parts of your story which heavily involve that parent. I don't think we can brush past how painful it is to know that parent never found true happiness after all they tried to do for you. It's a really big moment in your life to lose your dad, and I don't think it can be, it shouldn't be minimised.
No, there's nothing minimised about it, to be fair. And his suffering, not talking about his illness, the suffering that he endured through his life kind of became the testament of what he was.
Yeah.
All Dad did was sacrifice for other people. The people he loved and people like my mum who he didn't love, he had to make sacrifices because of her choices.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Sounds like, overall, sounds like he had a really good, strong moral compass.
Yeah. And I like to think I've inherited that.
Yeah.
Because Dad was one of these people who, when he made an when he had an obligation, he would meet that obligation. And, whether that was to show up for somebody who'd committed showing up for, or whether it was for, I've made these kids, I'm going to bring them up.
Yeah.
He always did it, and he did it to the best of his abilities. Given all of the struggles that he had, he did a pretty good job. All of my, I'm the only boy, but all of my sisters, they're all good people. There's nobody in my family, in my immediate family. The two sisters from the first marriage, I don't really know them. And what I do know about them, I don't like. But they weren't brought up by my dad. So,
well, yeah, it says a lot actually about him, doesn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, all of my sisters are good people. They've all got good hearts. We're all like my dad in many ways. We've all got big hearts. We all care. We all care for our kids. We care for the people around us. And we meet our obligations. And
do you know what? It cannot be misunderstood how important dads are in society. Everyone that listens to this will have heard the majority of my story already, but I didn't have that dad that I wish I'd had. And I always looked at dads in films or on the telly and think, I wish I had a dad like that. Because I think for a girl actually to have a strong male figure, someone who loves them, follows through with obligations, cares about them, protects them, even if they're, you know, no one's perfect. So everyone's got their flaws and everyone's got parts of them that are, you know, perhaps sometimes upsetting or damaging to other people. But if the intention is genuinely good the majority of the time, for a child to have a dad that's intentions are good, that would always sacrifice for the kids, I think that just creates such an important energy in our society.
I can see that with my daughter.
Yeah.
As she's getting older, she really seems to draw into me.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always had a good relationship, but it does seem like lately it's more like I want to do more with my dad, and you know, I'm here for it. But it's interesting to see it unfold, and you know, obviously she's got quite a cool dad, without blowing my own trumpet.
A very cool dad.
I'm a bare knuckle boxer.
Yeah.
I'm on TV. I'm on YouTube. All of her friends in school know who I am. All of her parents know who I am. I'm in a bike club. You know, there's a lot of aspects of my life that I imagine are like, oh, and this is what it's important for me. This is what I want out of everything in life. The big thing for me is legacy. The big thing for me is I want my daughter to be able to say, my dad's Aaron Ashton, and that have some weight to it.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of you don't want to mess with my dad.
Yeah.
In the sense of I'm fucking proud of my dad.
Oh, wow.
Because I am proud of my dad, and I know how important that is.
It is important.
What are we, like 20 minutes in? I'm on the verge of tears already.
There's such a long way to go yet.
Know, yeah. Okay. So yeah, childhood was a little bit unsettled from the off. And then one of the women that Dad auditioned for the role of Mom, it became his mainstay. And looking back on it, I don't know who really triggered it. I don't know whether it was me or whether it was her, but I didn't like her. We didn't get on. We didn't see eye to eye.
Well, you were the child, so whoever triggered it, it was up to the adult to deal with that appropriately.
Knowing what I know about her, again, she had mental health issues later in life, so I'm not going to judge her too harshly. She wasn't a good stepmom to me.
No.
But she was a good step nan to my daughter and the rest of the kids in the family. So, and there were parts of her relationship with Dad that was good, you know, that he got a lot out of. There were other parts that were really shitty. But yeah, I didn't get on with this woman, and inevitably that culminated in me rebelling, mainly against her daughter, because obviously she was an adult. I was a 7-8-year-old kid. It was too much of a big fight for me. So, I mean, I didn't get on with her daughter anyway. I know her now, she's lovely. Obviously, I was a kid then. Things are different. And I'd just be a little brat to her. I remember one day she was collecting caterpillars in a cup. And we were walking by the side of a river. It sounds horrible to say it now. And she said something. I didn't like the sound of it. She just said something that just knocked me. And I said, can I look at them caterpillars?
Oh, God.
She gave me the polystyrene cup and I've just gone. And they became aquatic caterpillars.
Do you know what? I used to love collecting caterpillars.
I'm sorry if you're lost.
I'm traumatised.
So yeah, I do things like that. I remember the one day I squirted ketchup all over a bedroom walls and door. And there was another occasion when her mother went out into the garden, the back garden. I locked the door and walked out the front door with the key just to leave her out there. Just,
Oh, God.
We'd occasionally spend nights at the police house, and I remember phoning her the one day and leaving her a voice. I did like the old 141 thing, withheld number, and I left a voice message on her answering machine, calling her a bitch and all sorts.
Oh, dear.
Expecting her not to find out that it was me. It was clearly me.
Was it your voice? Or
Yeah,
did
it was my voice. That was the dead giveaway. So yeah, this all culminated though. There was a conversation that was had, and I basically got told that my auntie was willing to look after me for a few weeks. She was willing for me to move in with her until I could sort of calm down, until I could go back. And I moved in with my auntie. I think I was there 2 weeks, and I didn't like it. I didn't like being there. I felt like I was being punished for this person who I didn't like, so I didn't see why I had to do her a favour by moving somewhere else. So I set fire to my auntie's bathroom.
As you do.
As you do, act of rebellion. So obviously, understandably, my auntie said, I ain't having this, he's going back. And then I went back. And then I walked into a bit of a what's the word where everyone gets together, like
a meeting.
Yeah, a meeting. Let's go with that. I walked into a meeting between my dad, my mum, a childminder I had at the time, Tracy, who was prominent child. She was like the number one. She was old faithful. She looked after us all the time. And a couple of my sisters and whatever else. And the nature of this meeting was basically that he'd had enough. I kept trying to separate him from his girlfriend. I think she was fiancée at this point. And he'd had enough. He'd had enough of separations in his life. He'd had 2 failed marriages, and I think in his eyes this was his last chance at happiness, and I was there just like a crowbar trying to pry it apart at the seams. So I was basically given the ultimatum. It was either sort your shit out or you're going to have to go and live with your mum. Me and my mum didn't have a mega strong relationship at this point, but I was not willing to sort my shit out. I was not willing to put up with this person. So I said, okay, well, if I'm moving with mum, what happens? What does that look like? And my mum basically said, no, we're going to get a house a couple of streets away. So you can still go to the same school, you can still see all the same friends, and nothing in your life will really change. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that sounds like it makes sense to me, so let's do that. So we all agreed. It was like, I'm going to go and live with mum from now on. It was only after that little meeting that my sister Sarah pulled me to one side and said, you need to know something. I was like, okay, what's going on? She said, if you go and live with mum, she's not going to get a house 2 streets away. She's going to move you over to Tamworth with a new boyfriend, which Tamworth was about 30 miles away from where I lived, which to me was a whole different planet. I was probably 9, 10 at this point.
It does feel like an entirely different planet at that age. Literally.
And, it was a completely different sort of nature of life. I'm used to like inner city life at
yes.
this point. And Tamworth, it was like on a farm in a cottage, going to a country school, and which to me just screamed of, there'll be no kids.
Yeah.
There'll be no kids, there'll be no PlayStations, there'll be none of the stuff that you like. It'll just be fucking hay bales and tractors and whatever else.
Cowboy boots.
Yeah. Which ironically, in my later life, that sounds divine now. So I kind of panicked, and I mentioned this to my childminder, Tracy, and she sort of heard, and Tracy had a lot of love for us. She was a really, really good woman. She still is a really good woman. I think she really felt for me in that moment, and she volunteered something which I'm eternally thankful for. She said, you can come and live with me.
That's a life-changing moment.
Yeah, and for me, that was like a lifeline, because she did literally live a couple of streets away. I could still go to the same school. I could keep my same circle of friends. I could still see all my sisters and everything. Nothing really changed. At the time, I didn't really understand why my dad was so happy to sort of push me away. But I think it was a case of out of sight, out of mind. He was obviously still struggling with his mental health issues. He was a borderline alcoholic. We've never really had the conversation, but he used to say he just collected empty whiskey bottles. But I think it was an alcoholic. So yeah, that's what happened. I went to live with my childminder. I think I was there for about a year. And she was right. Not a lot really changed, but I mean, it wasn't 2 streets away. It was probably like a mile away from where I lived, which when you're a 10-year-old kid, that's a long way.
Yeah.
So I didn't see my friends as much. I didn't see my sisters as much. My sister Sarah was old enough to drive, and she would come and visit me quite a lot. I think my sister Holly had moved off to Telford at this point with a boyfriend. I can't really remember.
So they're quite significantly older than you? Or at the time it was a big enough age difference? I
just can't remember, to be honest. I can't remember clearly. Sarah's significantly older than me. Holly's 2-3 years older. So yeah, she wouldn't have been in Telford then. But I do remember Dad didn't visit me very often. Again, looking back on it, I think it was a out of sight, out of mind sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now this sort of culminated with when I was at Tracy's, I was safe, I was fed, I was loved. You know, she's a very loving person, but there was a box that wasn't ticked.
Of course.
I've been
It's
separated
not
from
home.
my family. It's not home, and I remember all my memories from living there were mainly spent in my bedroom, playing my computer, and that wasn't because she was trying to isolate me. It was just because I didn't gel. You know, it wasn't my family.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't sitting and watching TV with her and a daughter and whatever else. I was
You must
just...
have been quite sad, actually.
Can't really remember it that well, if I'm being honest. I just remember being unstimulated.
Yeah.
But this situation wrapped up, and I eventually ended up back with my family. Because one day we were on the bus and we went past my old house, the police house, and I saw my dad's van outside. And I said to Tracy, I want to go and see Dad. Can we go and see Dad? And I think she kind of dismissed it. And then we went round to her mum's house, which was only a couple of streets away. And I literally went in the house, said, I'm going to the toilet, back in 5 minutes, went to the toilet, out the window, over the fence, down the alleyway, and I ran back into my dad. And
that is actually quite a cute scene.
Yeah, it was... I remember seeing the shock on his face, and it wasn't a shock like, what are you doing here? It was a shock of like, what the fuck have I done?
Yeah, like a bit of guilt maybe as well.
And I think the penny dropped with him. Like he's a loving, caring bloke. It's like, I can't fucking do this. I can't do this to my son.
It shows how primitive we all are, though, that we want to return home to the nest, to the pack. Actually, there's something in us that just knows where we belong.
And that was it. I was back, and yeah, from there things started to be a bit more normal. I think Dad had this realisation of, he was a dad first, then he was a partner, and he began then to live his life kind of separately. So he'd spend some time at his partner's, and then he'd spend a few days at the police house with me and my sister. Again, I can't remember the timeline, but Holly ended up moving back, and I can't remember where she was during all of that. But yeah, then slowly, my other sister Sarah, she split up with her boyfriend. She gravitated back.
Oh, wow.
And then it became a family home again. But Dad sort of played both. He'd go and spend time with his girlfriend, and then he'd come back, spend a few days there, and it was nice. That's basically how the next sort of 5-10 years sort of panned out. At a point, he ended up moving in with his girlfriend. I'm getting into like my early teens now, mid-teens. At that point, Sarah had got a new boyfriend. She moved out, and Holly had got a boyfriend, and she moved out. So I ended up being back there on my own around 13, 14, which for a lot of people would be like, oh, that must have been really difficult being a 13-year-old. Not for me. I was ace. Loved it. I was getting all my mates around, smoking weed, eating pizzas, takeaways all the time. Dad was like paying for the shopping and the bills and everything, so it was just free house. So yeah, I've got like fond memories at that point. But I think that sort of teenage period, in reality, was very uneventful for me. I didn't really do much. I went to school, came back, smoked weed, played my computer, repeated that for years.
Funny that you were doing that in a police house.
I know, yeah. In the presence of a copper. My dad just used to turn a blind eye to it. He'd come round, he'd be like, I can open a window. I can say all this now because, obviously
he's not here
anymore.
The irony.
But yeah, he was very understanding. But yeah, so as I got older, obviously we started going out drinking. I left school with no qualifications. I did go back in and do my exams, but I drew stupid fucking... I was just a prick. I was just a rebellious little chav.
You just turned up, basically.
Yeah, I just turned up just because I was suspended for like the last year.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so I went back in for my exams. I can't even remember why I was suspended now. I was a little shit. I had no interest in school. I feel like school is not set up for people like me.
Correct.
I don't think I'm an unintelligent person by any stretch of the imagination, but the way that they tailor education for the masses...
It's just it teaches you to memorise. That's it.
Exactly that. And I've got no interest in memorising.
Stuff that you don't care about.
Yeah. If something interests me, I will tell you every fact and tiny little detail about it.
I can imagine.
If something doesn't interest me, I don't care.
Well, you don't need it. Most of it is about conformity, I suppose it teaches you a few social skills.
That's important.
Yeah,
that is important.
definitely.
I will give that. The school system is great for teaching kids how to socialise.
Law, rules, that kind of thing that we all need. But generally speaking, I always think that the education system should look at each child and say, that child looks like they're practical, that child looks like they're creative, that child looks like they're very movie, like they like moving around a lot. That one's really academic. Let's give them the options of 2 or 3 subjects out of the areas, after maybe year 4 or 5 in primary school. Let's give them the chance to pick what they enjoy and let's put them in those lessons.
Yeah, with everything. Because when you go into adult life, you get a job that does one thing generally.
Course.
You're not having to worry about algebra, geography, science, all of these things. It's one thing.
Yeah.
So, if you can get that tailored in early. And I feel like this is a different conversation, but I feel like some of the basic things they could show kids, they just don't. Like
I know.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
How to do a tax return.
Yeah. One of the most important.
Literally, how to live to a budget.
Yeah.
Like these things would be far more useful than knowing what the capital of Turkey is.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Anyone that knows me knows I can't read a map. If it wasn't for audio sat-nav, I would never get anywhere.
Why audio?
I don't know. I can't look at a map and follow directions. I have to hear it.
You're a woman. You should have to multitask.
Well, I think in all other ways I'm a woman. Multitasking is not my thing. I certainly can't read a map. I don't know what that's about, but I just don't stand a chance. I can hear it.
So geography was irrelevant for you then?
It's the biggest waste of time.
There we go. Now we know it. Teach them how to do a tax return.
Yeah, which I definitely need.
Late teens, start going out drinking. Eventually, so that was probably, as strange as that sounds, me living on my own and just smoking loads of weed. That was probably the most stable my life had been up until that point.
Because it was always predictable, I guess.
Yeah, I knew what was coming. I knew that. I was at that age where I had a house, even though it wasn't my own. It was my dad's. Well, it was the police, whatever. But it
belonged to someone.
It was stable. I knew it was there. I knew that I wasn't going to get kicked out. We'd already been and done all that sort of stuff. I knew my mum wasn't going to leave because she'd already left.
Yeah.
I remember that being a very easy time, and I remember that being quite comfortable.
Yeah.
Byproduct of smoking weed, started to put on a lot of weight. I wasn't athletic in the slightest. Never have been up until recently.
How old were you when you got into bare knuckle?
It was about 2 years ago, a year ago.
What?
Yeah, I've been boxing just under 4 years, and then I made the switch to bare knuckle. Yeah.
But never done anything athletic before that?
Nothing.
Mental, okay.
No, I've heard that before. Eventually started going out drinking, and I met the woman who would eventually be my first wife. And it was, and to start with, it was a fun relationship. Again, I'd been withdrawn from society to a degree. I just used to smoke weed, play computer games, that was it. And all of a sudden I met this girl, and she knew all the restaurants, she knew all the nightclubs, she'd been on 30 different abroad holidays. It's like she seemed to me like she'd really lived a life. She was really popular, very attractive. And I think the big thing that appealed to me was I looked at the family she came from, and it looked very stable. Mum and dad were still together, had been for 20, 30 years. My future wife lived at home. Her brother still lived at home. They had dogs and cats, and every Sunday was Sunday dinner there. All the family got together. It was lovely. It was
picturesque.
And I think that really appealed to me, to be a part of this stable family. On top of the fact that she was an attractive girl and she was fun, and we used to have a good laugh and whatever else.
Every boy's dream, really.
Yeah, and for me, who hadn't had stability, that looked an awful lot like stability. So I went all the way in. I'd had various girlfriends before this, but it was always a couple of weeks, a couple of months at best. That was it. But this was the first relationship I had at 21 years old that really looked like this could last. And it did. We were together for 9 years. We got married. So just backtracking a little bit. She had her struggles. I won't go into them too much because we are sort of getting on now, and she's the mother of my daughter, and I wouldn't want to affect that relationship. but she had her struggles. She liked to drink, she liked to party. The more the relationship went on, I started to withdraw from the fun a little bit, and it didn't appeal to me as much.
You kind of went back to your more introverted self.
Yeah, I was still smoking weed and, still playing my computer games occasionally. But I started to get into things that were a bit more rewarding, like the outdoors. Like, loved wild camping, like climbing to the top of a mountain, sleeping on the summit, watching the sunrise, sunset. That's what started to call to me. And I wanted to do more of that. So the more of that I wanted to do, the less appealing it got to go on 3-day benders.
Yeah.
And, spend a fortune as well. We didn't have a lot of money between us. We didn't budget very well. She would spend a little bit more than... No, she'd spend a fucking lot more than she was supposed to spend. And, yeah, we'd started to accumulate responsibilities around us. Our relationship was... can be sort of characterised by... There's a little bit of instability, so let's put something to look forward to in the calendar. So that became buying a house. So we bought a house. Well, that didn't really fix anything. So there's a bit more instability. So what else can we do? We need some pets. This needs to be like a proper family home. Let's get some dogs. Got the dogs. Well, that put a bit more stress on us because now...
Was that led by you though?
No.
So it was both of you?
No.
Right.
No. I think it was justified by, well, if you have a dog, I'm buying a motorbike.
Got ya.
Yeah. The motorbike didn't last, but the dogs did. But then again, that became a responsibility of, a bit more pressured now because now we need to get up early and walk the dogs.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't really want to because of her troubles, so I had to then get up early and walk the dogs.
So you were actually creating the stability where it was maybe more one-sided at the time.
So I was a bit more pressured because we had dogs. And then it was we're feeling a bit pressured and unstable now. So what can we do to really tie this in? Oh no, let's get married. That'll fix everything. Mm-hmm. So we got married. Didn't fix anything. And then it's the penultimate. Well, what's the one thing that can fix any relationship now? Oh no, let's have a kid together. Let's do that because that'll fix all of our problems. It didn't. That made things worse. Now, as a caveat to that, best decision I ever made was to have my daughter. I love her to pieces. Wouldn't change her for the world. But during that time, throwing a newborn baby into the mix with a wife who's got her troubles and all of the other stuff that we had going on, it was too much. Yeah. And I think that was I think she suffered postnatal as well, to add into the other things that she had going on. Oh, God,
yeah. I mean, the hormones after pregnancy are just insane.
Yeah. And I think because she had other issues, it was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Heightened.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for the relationship. We'd had a conversation. I mean, we'd had a lot of conversations leading up to it, but we basically had the conversation that I think it's time at the bar. I think we need to call this a day. Mainly pushed by her, to be fair. But at that point, the relationship had got that bad and that toxic that I didn't have much of a fight to put up. I was very scared of what was going to come next. I'd very much let myself go at that point. I wasn't looking after myself in the sense of I wasn't going to the gym. I'd put on a lot of weight. My fashion sense was terrible. I know that sounds like a stupid thing, but
I weren't expecting that.
It sounds like a stupid thing, but at the time, I didn't know how to put an outfit together.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I look fantastic now, but at the time, I genuinely didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And little things like that. It's well, how do I even? I've never had much confidence.
Yeah.
And the idea of having to start again was just it was a weird pressure for me.
Yeah, it makes sense though. If you're not feeling good and you don't know how to make yourself look good, then you're going into the world again like that. Is anyone going to want me? Especially there's abandonment, prior. So all of those things link in.
Yeah. So yeah, we'd had that conversation and we'd agreed to separate, put the house up for sale. And I was down. I was down. During that time, unfortunately, my best friend, Adam Caneen, took his own life. He'd had a long battle with depression himself, and he He'd attempted suicide several times,
What a
tried to
shame.
get help. Seemed like he was almost fixed, as fixed as you can be. But yeah, he actually got us all together the night before. Randomly just invited everyone to go to the pub for a pint, like a normal Tuesday night, I think it was.
But he knew what he was doing.
He must have, because it did very much seem like he. We found out after he'd been apologising to a lot of people that he'd upset leading up to this. So I think he'd maybe planned it, but I don't know. But yeah, he got us all together. We all had a drink, nothing crazy, just a couple of points. A little bit of banter, this, that and the other, and it was like, right, it's a school night, so we'll go back home. And then the next day, I was at work and I had a phone call from his sister to say that he'd passed away. Took his own life, yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
How old was he at the time?
30. Yeah, so that typical age.
Yes.
For men.
Yeah, such a high number, isn't there?
Yeah, but receiving that phone call, I was in shock. It was like, I almost remember sort of like dismissing it a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
it was dissociation. I can't quite.
Yeah, I remember like I apologised to his sister. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm gutted for you.
What do you say in that
Yeah.
situation?
This was my best mate. You know,
Yeah.
you'd have thought that I'd have been heartbroken instantly.
But the body shuts down. The nervous system shuts down to something like that. It's like people think they know how they're going to respond in a situation that's shocking. Or
You've got no idea.
No idea. Your body just sort of goes into freeze.
I distinctively remember putting the phone down and I was walking through the shop floor. One of my supervisors came up. He goes, "You all right, mate? Look, you've seen a ghost." I said, "My best mate's he's killed himself." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "My best mate, Ad."
Yeah,
like,
you're in shock at that point.
Yeah, he's like the guy with the Clio. I was like, yeah. He had like a race car Clio thing. He said, "Mate, you need to go home. Like you don't need to be here." And I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm all right." He was like, "No, just go home. Go and have some time to yourself. Like you need to deal with this." I was like, "All right." So I'll tell you what, I'll be back in an hour. And I left work, got in my car. It was back in the days of Auxleads. Remember Auxleads? I got my phone out, scrolled through my playlist, put my Auxlead in. Oh, that's a good song. Put that on. Pulled out a fag, cigarette, started smoking that, driving. Drove for about 10 minutes back home. Pulled on my drive, pulled the handbrake up, put the keys in the door, walked through the door, shut the door behind me, and it just hit me like a tidal wave. And I just hit the floor, sobbing. I phoned my wife, even though we were like on the verge of separation at this point. I phoned her and said, like, Ad's dead. She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "He's killed himself." I said, "Can you come back? I don't want to be on my own." So she came out of work. By the time she got back home, I'd already started drinking. And I pretty much drank for 2 months straight off the back of that. Yeah. Not the way to deal with grief at all.
Well, there is no set way to deal with grief.
No, there's not. It was a weird one. Like, I've recently lost my dad, and I'm dealing with that grief so much differently to how I dealt with that grief.
Yeah.
That one was like a tidal wave. It just knocked me off my foundations. Yeah. And I remember for like days afterwards, I'd be waking up on a morning and I just couldn't even begin to figure out how to dress my daughter. Like, I couldn't put an outfit together for her.
Cognition shut down a little bit, went offline.
I just couldn't put the pieces in order.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got a mental block of outfits. It's time back in now.
Yeah, there's a fashion thing going on here.
But yeah, it was just, it steamrolled me. But while this was going on, the separation with my wife was still going full steam ahead.
So you were going through a lot of loss all at once.
Yeah, it was the only time in my life I've ever been to the doctors about my mental health. And yeah, I got put on antidepressants, which didn't really do anything for me, to be honest.
No, because it wouldn't have dealt with the actual core
and they went all the way in. It was like, "Oh, you're depressed, guys, 50 milligrams sertraline."
Typical response from a doctor.
Yeah, and all I did was shit myself loads.
Yeah.
That's all that happened. I didn't feel any better for it.
Well, you certainly weren't bunged up anymore, that's for sure.
No, not for a second. So yeah, separation was going ahead. Just lost my best friend. During that time, because I was drinking a lot and a lot of the friends of my friend were sort of drawn back together, I started to spend a lot of time around his sister, the one who made the phone call to me. And we started to kindle. Looking back on it, it's classic signs of a trauma bond.
Yeah.
She just lost her brother. I just lost my best friend. The consequences of those things have dictated that we're all out. We're all sharing each other's company more.
Sharing each other's pain.
Adding to that, we're all drinking a lot. And, I've no doubt there was a connection there anyway, because there was kind of a connection previously, like many, many years before. But I feel like it was just a normal connection.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that our watermarks or our high bars were so low to begin with, that this connection felt like ecstasy. We were meant to be together. We really vibed around each other.
Which probably in that moment you were.
Yeah.
If you think of everything as a moment rather than as the bigger picture, in that moment you were meant to heal each other in some way.
Yeah, and you know what? Obviously, we've since separated. I'm glad I found that relationship at that time because I was in a pit.
Yeah.
There was no light. It was just darkness. Everywhere I looked, it was, well, my best friend's dead. My relationship's dead. I've got no self-confidence. I've got no self-worth.
And all that stability you were trying to make in the marriage, and that you'd been attracted to her because of the stability in her family.
Yeah.
All of that had gone again. So life became unstable again.
Yeah. And as a caveat to that, in that instability, in that darkness, I looked at my friend's sister, and I knew that family already.
Yeah.
I knew that family. I knew it was a good family.
Yeah. Somewhere to belong.
Still to this day, I've got a very good relationship with that family.
Yeah.
And I'm only just realising this now. But that was probably a big factor to it as well.
For sure.
It wasn't just the partner, it was the association.
Yeah, the
that came with
family.
it.
You've been drawn to that, it seems, over and over again.
Yeah. That relationship was the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
In that period of darkness.
Yeah.
And it very quickly healed me from the grief, from the loss of my friend, from the loss of the relationship.
Did it heal you, or did it put a bubble around the pain?
Good question. I feel like it softened the blow.
Okay.
I don't think it healed me, because it did come back, the grief, especially not from the relationship, to be fair. When that was done, it was done. But the loss of my friend, that kept creeping back.
It lingered, yeah.
Yeah, it still does now.
Yeah, of course. It's a huge... To lose a friend that way... I mean, I lost my best friend a couple of years ago through cancer, and she'd been my friend since we were 5. And it's still now... I've got her picture on the centre of my mantelpiece, and every day I see her and I think about her, and that will never end, because I thought we would grow old together. But if she'd have taken her own life, I think there's so many elements and layers to that, of grief, guilt, shame.
All of the above.
Yeah. It's so different when someone takes their life.
First of all, sorry for your loss.
Thank you, and for yours.
But I feel like in that instance, I don't know if you did or didn't, but you almost get to say goodbyes.
Yes, you do.
You get to smooth the passing.
You do.
With his loss, with the loss of his life, I almost felt like I did feel guilt, because there was times he'd ring my phone in the middle of the night, and I knew he'd be probably in crisis, or just trying to tempt me around to his house to partake in his madness or whatever. And I'd ignore it, because I was like, I can't be dealing with this shit now.
Yeah.
I ain't going to dip my toe into this. And I felt guilt for that.
Yeah.
So many times I didn't answer his calls. So many times I didn't reply to his messages. So many times I knew I could have done more and I didn't. But after his death, I almost saw an opportunity. It was like, well, this family now is grieving. They are struggling. I know I'm a good guy. I know I'm a nice guy. I know if I'm with his sister, I'm going to bring a lot of good to the table. She's going to be looked after. She's going to be protected. The family are going to be happy, because there's some happy going on in their family after this period of darkness and whatever else. And it was a good time for years. But I think with the nature of a trauma bond, it doesn't last forever.
No.
And I think what inevitably happened was, after the wedding, I almost feel like we'd run out of distractions, and she made some choices that I couldn't live with.
Yeah.
That really hurt me. and she made it clear that the relationship was over. And because I'd invested all of myself into her, you know, I'd literally put everything into this relationship.
And to that family.
And to the family, and to the future that I was supposed to have. You know, there wasn't a sacrifice I didn't make. In all honesty, there was times where I didn't spend as much time with my daughter as I could have, because I wanted to make sure I did what my dad did.
Wow, I mean, that's a full circle realisation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only just clicked again. You can tell you're a counsellor. But yeah, it just, there's times I cut into time spending with my daughter to spend more time with my partner, or I'd try and get my daughter back to her mum's house a little bit sooner so me and my partner could do
almost like
more.
an obsessive kind of, I've got to make this work, this has got to work, this has got to be stable, this has got to be loved.
Definitely obsessive, definitely. And you know, I did everything in my power to make the relationship succeed. And like I said, I invested all of myself into it. So when it was over, and I mean it was an overnight thing, there was no build up to it. It was just, I don't want this anymore.
This sudden, again, a grief.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're not working out like the first marriage where it wasn't working out. We're not working out, lots of discussions. Because you married this particular lady. It was a sudden shock in the same way that phone call would have been a bolt out of the blue.
Yeah.
And so the grief, the tidal wave that you would have felt then with that grief, which we won't go into many details, because I just want to say here, for the purpose of perspective, is that whatever happened between you two, she'd also lost her brother, and that trauma bond would have felt so intoxicating that any decision she made afterwards may well have been influenced by the fact that she hadn't, maybe neither of you had allowed the grief to pass before this explosive, toxic, maybe in some ways, but also beautiful in others, relationship. So then she would have made decisions that were absolutely devastating to you, but also perhaps she wasn't even thinking in a straight line herself at the time. Which is
fair enough. And there's been that much time removed from it now that I'm at peace with it.
Yeah.
You know, the breakdown of that relationship, which at the time was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Of course.
In retrospect, was the best thing that ever happened to me.
It's always the way. Always the way. When you can do that, by the way, that makes you a great man.
Thank you.
When you can come past something like that, and we won't go into the details of what happened, but people can come to their own conclusions. When you come past something like losing a best friend, being abandoned by your mother, then the sort of difficulties with that. But then, you know, your wife and you split up. Again, difficulties there that you won't go into massively. Then the loss of a best friend in that way. Then, you know, the sudden loss of another relationship. And you can look back and go, actually, that was a gift. That's philosophy, that's greatness, that's power, that's all of those things that really, you know, we don't talk enough about. We talk about all the difficult stuff, but this is why you're here, really, because I think you've got a lot of greatness in the way that you now look at things.
I think, again, that's kind of a testament, not even a testament. I think it's looking at the way my dad dealt with the loss of his, with my mum. Like, Dad was bitter, and he stayed bitter.
Yeah.
And even up until his dying day, he was still bitter.
Yeah.
And I saw how much damage that bitterness did to him. And I don't... Obviously, at the time, I was angry.
Of course.
I was upset. I was sad. My whole life had changed overnight. My future had been taken away from me, and my stability, everything that I craved. And I had every right to be bitter, and I was for a bit. But I did realise at a point that bitterness, A, it'll get you in trouble, but B, my sister actually summed it up the best. She said, it's like swallowing poison but expecting somebody else to die.
Absolutely. It's a Chinese proverb, that is.
My sister Sarah again. She's like quarter Chinese, I'm guessing. She comes out with these proverbs occasionally. And she likes bonsai plants.
Does she?
Yeah.
Well, she likes the old Eastern philosophies, it seems.
Yeah.
Deep thinker.
Very, very. One of us got to have a brain.
You've got a brain as well.
But yeah, she... yeah, so I sort of made the conscious decision at a point to, you know, I'm not gonna hate her. I'm not gonna spite her. You know, if I ever see her again and I'm forced into having a conversation with her, I will thank her.
Yeah.
Because it was the catalyst for some very difficult years. But ultimately, once that journey had proceeded, some of the best years of my life.
Yeah.
You know, that single moment of us separating has led to so many big opportunities. You know, I'm now a professional bare knuckle boxer. I've fought in the O2 in London.
Mental.
Mental.
Especially as you only started it, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
I've done podcasts with yourself, Liam Tufts, Kevin Lane. You know, I've got people like Kevin Lane in my phone book now. Danny
love
Harkins.
Kevin and Danny.
This is what I mean. No, it's like my life now is like 14-year-old me would love the person I am today. If he had any idea what was coming.
Oh, here we go. This is it. This is the moment.
It back.
No, let it out.
But yeah, if 14-year-old me could see the person that I was going to become, I think that would have eased a lot of the stresses over the years.
Yeah.
I think I would have had a much smoother transition into my new life.
Do you feel proud of yourself at the minute?
Massively. Yeah, massively.
I love that.
But yeah, where did I get to?
Well, you've just found out that you know there's something catastrophic. Kind of say the word catastrophic has happened in the relationship, and you've had this tidal wave of grief again. And you said there that the years that followed there were some difficult times as well.
Yeah. So to clarify that, I wasn't happy.
No, at all.
And I was full of hatred. I hated my wife for for the position she'd put me in, for the way I now viewed my future, for the fact that I had no future now.
So it sort of controlled your mind to a degree.
Yeah. And I outwardly projected that hatred. I had time off work. I was burying myself into the gym just for distraction. I needed to do something to occupy my day because I was fortunate at the time that a real good friend of mine, Chris, basically gave me a flat.
Wow.
He'd paid like 6 months up front on the tenancy, rekindled with his partner, and had like 3 months left on the tenancy, and it was fully furnished and everything. It was like, mate, go there, it's yours. Bear in mind, overnight I'd been made homeless, suicidal, skinned, like, you know.
You lost everything.
I lost absolutely everything. Other than my daughter, I'd lost everything. So he gave me this flat, but I was off work, so I would be sitting in that flat, tormenting myself. You know, I'd be like, well, what's she doing now? Where's she? Who's she with?
Obsession again.
How's she feeling now? Because I feel like hell.
You can't get out of the loop.
Yeah, I'm in the lowest point of my life, and for all I know, she's out having dinner with her mates and going to a bottomless brunch. And
Does she
doing
care?
This. Does she give a shit? Yeah. And I was beating myself up. So I'd go out of the house and I'd go to the gym. I'd go once a day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day,
wow.
Just to occupy my brain. It was about this time I started going into the boxing gym for distraction. But the other form of distraction I found, some of the lads I got to know through the gym, some of them were quite moody, some of them very moody, and I knew that they were engaged in criminality. And I think in a roundabout way, because I wanted to be seen to be hurting, or to be seen to be putting myself in stupid positions.
You were communicating.
Yeah, I was trying to show anybody who could see how bad my life was by look at the bad choices I'm making now. I'm not just hanging about with criminals, I'm becoming a criminal.
Yeah.
I'm debt collecting. We're recovering stolen cars from people by force. We're having drug dealers off. We're taxing people. We're taking crops. It was getting people as well. So there was a few situations where somebody put some money on the table and said this person needs to be dealt with. Whether it's go and smash their car up, go and fill them in, go and kidnap them, whatever. Never kidnapped anybody, for the record.
But those opportunities were there.
Yeah, and because I'd just jumped in at the deep end and got involved with these things, it was like, well, you're a viable candidate. We know your game. There's clearly something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But whatever, as long as you're getting the job done, it don't really matter. And during that period of time, there was a lot of madness. A lot of people got hurt. Some people who did deserve it, some people who didn't deserve it. I did things that were against my moral compass. We collected a couple of debts actually, from people who had kids in the house, and like looking back on that now, fucking mortified.
Yeah.
There was people who I was trying to get, who I was going to stab them, and knife crime now, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't care. I wanted to feel something.
Yeah.
Fuck the world, fuck everybody.
Yeah.
I was carrying knives with the intention of doing bad things to bad people who deserved it.
Let me pause there, because that's a really important thing. Like, I've obviously sat with you for a few hours now, and I start this off by saying that you're a gentle giant, and that energy is what you exude now. And isn't it interesting that the way that our thoughts operate change that chemical cascade of emotion in the body, and the cellular expression of emotion, how it starts to rule the mind. So your anger is now ruling your mind, and it's changing your identity.
Yeah.
You spoke about the moral compass there, but your identity, which has been logged as perhaps an introvert at times, quiet, lacking in confidence, self-esteem, somebody who just wants stability and love and belonging, is now somebody that is hurting so badly, has been abandoned so many times, or has gone through so much grief. Now what I want is I want to change my identity, because fuck being that person that gets abandoned or loses people that I love, or has no stability, has no grounding. Fuck that. Why should I go through this when she might be doing this or they might be doing that? Why should I have to suffer? I'll show you. And that whole process, neuroplasticity, the wiring of the brain, repetition equals recognition. So the more that you think something, the more it wires. The more it wires, the more you have the chemical imprint of the emotion. That emotion is the cellular software. The cellular software is the way that the brain and the body operate. That does become the ego and identity. It is what you emit into the world around you, the energy field.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we can all fall into that, depending on the state of our mind and our wellness, I guess.
It literally changes the nature of you.
It does.
It changed the nature of me wholeheartedly. I was doing things that I would never have done before.
I wouldn't do now. Yeah, it's fascinating to me, actually.
And the ironic thing is, a lot of the time, it wasn't even for like silly money. It wasn't the sort of money that would tempt a good man into being bad. It was,
which goes to show it's an identity thing.
It was more for the fact of, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I want to be seen to be doing this.
Exactly.
Hopefully this goes horribly wrong, and then she can see that I'm doing
self-harm, as we said earlier.
It all kind of culminated in, there was a particular issue I had with somebody, and I was trying to get their address.
Yeah.
And I went on to Company House. They were the director of a business, and they'd registered their business address, their correspondence address, to a residential house in Droitwich. One night, with a bee in my bonnet, I went down to said house, and I took a can of petrol, took a lighter, took a machete, and the intention was pour petrol through the letterbox, throw a match in. Whoever comes running out the door is going to get chopped up.
Did that feel like a very rational thought at the time?
At the time, I was all the way in. I was excited by this prospect.
Right.
Again, which makes no sense to me now.
No.
It's the idea of it now, especially knowing what I now know about the situation, was terrible, absolutely terrible. But at the time, I was genuinely excited for it.
Yeah.
And at the time as well, I felt like I was on this. I was about this life. I was a professional.
This is where you belong.
Yeah, I was doing a job here. But then I look back at it and I had my phone in my pocket, which is a big no-no.
Yeah.
I was in a van, which had company sign writing all up and down the side of it. This was not the crime of the century. But at the time, because I was like so tuned into doing stupid shit, doing bad shit, it was like, I'm enjoying this. Like, I'm on this. I'm prepared for this. I'm ready for anything that comes out this fucking door.
Yeah. Just
all the way in. So yeah, I jumped over the fence, crept through the hedges, got up to the front door. Big house this was. I'm talking like verging on a mansion, big farmhouse, clearly like 6-7 bedrooms from the outside, which didn't really match up with the nature of the person that I was trying to get even with.
So intuition starts to kick in. You're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I thought, the math ain't math in here.
Yeah.
And I looked through the windows. No, sorry, I looked through the letterbox, so I was making sure it didn't have one of those things so I could put the petrol through. And as I looked through, I could hear kids laughing. And I thought, this geezer ain't got kids. So I've fucked up here. And I backed off. As I was backing through the garden, I could see through the kitchen window, and I could see kids in the house. And I could see a couple of older people in the house. And I thought, this is a fucking mistake.
Oh my God.
I've made a big mistake here. So I came away. The next day, I phoned somebody who knew what area this person lived in. And I said, you know so-and-so? I said, they living in Droitwich? I said, no, I live in Bromley Hill. I was like, well, what's this address I got in Droitwich? It's like, that's his parents' house. They're fosterers. They foster kids. So, oh, fuck. So that moment to realise, that did actually get me. That moment of realisation was, it wasn't the end of it all, to be fair, because that happened further down the line. But it was a big roadblock for me on that journey of madness.
It was a moment where you suddenly went, hang on.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. This journey that I'm on does not lead where I want it to lead.
Yeah, it could go wrong.
Yeah. This could end up with people being punished who don't deserve to be punished.
Yes.
And that will bring me no satisfaction, no joy.
Because that's not who you are at the core.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, we're talking, if I'd have made that decision, set that house on fire, you're talking, well, I saw 2-3 kids in there. You're talking like, I would have been responsible potentially for the death of kids.
Wow.
And that's too much of a cross for me to bear.
That's like I said to you off camera, actually, that's a God-given moment. That moment of intuition, and then, hang on a minute, taking that step back, that pause, looking through the letterbox, pause, hear something, don't be reactive. That saved you and lots of lives.
Yeah, but that was a mistake. That was a mistake. And I, at the time, looked at it and thought, I just fucked up. I could have fucked up even bigger, but I just fucked up. But again, this was me acting like an independent fucking psychopath, where somebody I had an issue with, I took it in my hands to take it all the way off the fucking scales of madness.
Important to say again, you were self-harming. This was psychologically self-harming.
So, yeah, that was a moment where I took a step back and thought, you know what? I need to find something else to distract me other than burning people's houses down and chopping people up. I need to find something a bit more wholesome. So I started to double down on the gym, the boxing gym. I started to spend more time there. I'd been there like 3-4 weeks at this point, and the coach, who I've got to give a shout out to, Steve Holloway, literally responsible for saving my life. He sort of took notice of how hard I was training, how regularly I was training, the enthusiasm I was training with. He pulled me to one side and he was like, mate, I've got to ask, like, what are you here for? He said, because you're training like a professional athlete, you're here twice a day, 6 days a week, you're jumping in, you're sparring with the big boys. Like, I couldn't box, I had no boxing background or anything. He said, what's the deal? What are you doing? I said, mate, to be honest, I'm just here for distraction. So I've got a lot going on in my personal life. Just lost my mate, lost my 2 relationships, failed. You know, I'm living in my mate's flat. I don't know what the rest of my life looks like. I said, like, I'm just here for distraction, mate. And he said, you know what's really distracting? He said, you're distracting yourself day to day. He said, if you put a fight in the calendar in 8 weeks' time, then you've got 8 weeks of distraction ahead of you. 8 weeks where you're forced into your routine. Now, you're not just here because you need to be here. Like, you're here because I'm going to fucking give you an hard time if you're not here. You're going to be here because if you're not, you're going to look like a fucking fool in 8 weeks' time. Love this. Yeah. And I tried to bat it back initially. I was like, you know, I ain't a fighter, mate. I'm just here because I'm enjoying it and da-da-da-da.
He knew exactly what you needed.
Yeah. Well, he recanted a story about, I believe it was he lost his father. And he said, mate, he goes, I lost my father years ago. He said, and I was struggling with grief. He said, I made the decision to book a fight. He was like past his fighting career at this point. He said, I took the decision to book an unlicensed fight. He said, and overnight, all the grief fell into the background. He said, my life consisted of 5 o'clock in the morning hill sprints. Okay, go to work, come back, 6 till 7:30, boxing, 7:30 till 8:30, cooking my food, showering. 9 o'clock, I'd sit down for half an hour in front of the TV before I just collapsed into exhaustion and fell asleep. He said, if you're after distraction, he said, you need to up the stakes and focus on a fight. And I thought, you know what? It makes a valid case.
It does make a valid case, and I think men need it.
So I said, okay. I said, get me a fight. He said, too late, I've already got you one. It's in 2 weeks' time. So fucking what happened to 8 weeks of distraction? He said, do you want it? I was like, well, fuck it. I've only been training like 4 weeks at this point. I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
You've been training for 4 weeks?
Yeah. He says, okay, shake my hand then. Once you've shook my hand, the fight's made, you can't back out. Shake my hand. Okay. And I shook his hand and I thought, I should probably ask who I'm fighting now. So I said, who am I fighting then? And he was like, probably best you don't know. Fuck it now. I said, go on. He says, his name's Josh Ho and he's had about 10 fights.
10? And you've been training for 4 weeks?
Yeah. He's had about 10 fights, been boxing for years. He's had a couple of bare knuckle fights as well. He said, but he's an out of shape heavyweight. He should probably fight at middleweight, but he's ballooned up. He's had a few years off. You're a very, very in shape, raw novice. He said, so it kind of evens out. I thought, okay, sound. I didn't believe him for a second, but I thought, if I'm game enough to go through people's doors and whatever else, then I'm more than game enough to turn up for the fight.
Yeah, surely the fear factor was higher with some of the other things.
Yeah and no.
There was a hesitation. Yeah, if you say so.
I think the difference is, if I'm going through somebody's door, there's nobody watching.
True.
There's nobody watching.
True.
There's nobody expecting you to win. There's nobody expecting you to do a good job.
Yeah.
You're just going and doing it.
Yeah.
And if it goes well, it goes well. Nobody hears about it. If it goes bad, you get arrested and whatever. But this is an entirely different thing because you're selling tickets. You're openly inviting people to come and watch you fail.
True.
If it goes horribly wrong. But I've got to say, so that 2 weeks, which was the shortest fight camp in history, well, it wasn't actually. I had a much shorter notice fight later on, but we'll get to that. That 2 weeks, I was entirely distracted because all of a sudden, okay, you're fighting in 2 weeks. Fuck, okay, I need to get tickets from the promoter. I need to get these tickets dished out. I've still got to train, but I've got to up the intensity. I've got to get some shorts. I've got no fucking fight shorts, so I need to order some shorts. I've got to get them designed. Well, trying to get shorts designed at 2 weeks' notice, madness. So you're doing this and this. Your phone's blowing up because posts are going on social media about you fighting and, you know. And there's little things that start coming during that time that they register. You'll get a random message saying, I'm fucking proud of you, mate. I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago and you were suicidal and now you're taking a fight. Like, fair fucking play.
That's amazing. Little
things like that, like, at that time were like, whoa, everyone stop a second. Somebody just said, like, I'm inspirational. Like me? Like, I'm inspirational. How the fuck am I inspirational? I failed at everything I've ever turned my hand to in life, but wow. And I get messages like that quite regularly now. And
I can see why.
I never take them for granted. If I receive a message like that, it means the fucking world to me.
Yeah.
I would have never thought anybody would have called me an inspiration. Not in a million years.
Well, you are.
I am. And, you know, I'm humble enough to admit that I am. I know where I was at. I know how bad things were. I know how lost I was and how, you know, I'd tapped out. I'd completely fucking tapped out of cracking on.
Which a lot of men do and struggle to find their way back.
And I found my way back. And that is inspirational.
That
is inspirational. And then to go to the heights that I've gone to in a short space of time, with no athletic background at all and all the odds stacked against me.
This was, by the way, let me remind people, you were a boy sitting in your bedroom, eating pizza, smoking weed, playing computer games, not athletic at all. And here you are about to embark with 2 weeks on a huge bare knuckle fight.
No, it was gloved.
Oh, it was gloved.
It was gloved. Yeah. I wasn't that brave. I probably would have, to be fair, if you'd offered me one of them.
If you're shaking your hand to that, I could imagine you would to anything.
But yeah, that 2 weeks, sheer distraction, and it had the desired effect.
But also discipline.
Yeah.
Distraction and discipline, which is hugely important, I think.
But the big thing I can take away from it is all I was thinking about in that 2 weeks was the fight.
Yeah.
I didn't think for a second about my ex. I didn't think for a second about the loss of my friend. I didn't think for a second about my ex-wife.
You stopped living in the rear view.
Yeah.
You're in the present.
I was focused on that date in the calendar. Yeah. And fight night was a bit of a blur now, to be fair, but there was no fear, there was no nerves, there wasn't any of that.
The adrenaline took over.
I was completely at peace.
Like calm.
calm but excited.
Yeah.
I was eager. I was enthusiastic. And I'd heard from all of my mates who'd boxed in the run-up to it, be careful on fight day, don't do too much of this, don't do too much of that. You'll be feeling this, you'll be constantly running backwards and forwards to the toilet feeling sick. And I had none of that. I think because I was a little bit dead inside. I don't really think nerves work the same way with me at that time.
Because you were dissociated, numb.
Yeah, I just didn't feel it. I'm not going to say, I'm braver than everybody else, because that's bullshit. I still feel like everybody else does.
It was just a nervous system response.
Yeah, at that time, it just didn't kick in. I didn't get nervous. The only time I got nervous was after the ring walk. So I came out from behind the curtains. The crowd didn't exist. I didn't see anybody. All I could see was my opponent and the ring. And as I got to the ropes, I started to put my foot through. I realised I got my foot tangled, and then the nerves kicked in because I thought, I'm going to fall into this fucking ring. But I steadied myself and I went in. And we had a good fight. Considering the experience difference, I did really well. I got a draw.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing for the first one.
For me, that was a win. I didn't care about the result anyway, weirdly. I didn't go in there to lose, but I didn't go in there to win either. I just wanted to go in there to almost prove to myself that you can do something fucking big here. Yes. To turn your shit around from being suicidal 6 weeks before, literally broke up with the ex 6 weeks before, stepping into the ring in front of, there's about 2,000 people there.
Crackers.
It was massive, and it felt big. It felt like when the referee announced it was a draw, I've got my hand up in the air going, yes, yes. The opponent was pissed off. It's like, what are you upset for, mate? I've fucking got a draw. I've got a fucking draw. No medal, but come on, I got a draw. But there was a buzz for like a few days after that took a while to subside, where I kind of basked in this glow of, I've done something important here. Like, I have found distraction, and it's cathartic. It is cathartic enough that I almost feel relieved of all the madness.
You've escaped the madness.
Yeah, I realised in that moment, like, I was lost, but now I'm found. This is purpose. And it was pivotal. That was the moment I knew. It's like, I am a fighter. And I think every odd that's ever been stacked against me in my life, every time life's pushed me fucking down, I've always bounced back. And I think by design, I was a fighter before I ever put a pair of gloves on.
This is a bit like a Rocky story, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah.
You were always a fighter.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily fit in the way that, to the school system, or, the family system was sometimes difficult because there was lots going on, and then you were trying to find stability in love, and actually it was always in you.
I've always been unbreakable.
Always. And
me and my daughter, I will get choked up now. Me and my daughter have got a saying. I'll say to her, what are you? And she'll say, I'm an Ashton. And I'll say, what do Ashtons do? And she'll say, we keep pushing forward.
That is so beautiful.
And it's like a little motto. And I've tried to drill it into her head over and over again, because I have had setbacks in my life. She's had setbacks in her life. But we are as resilient as they come.
Yeah.
And it's down to who we are. It's down to the makeup of us as people. We are not going to let life oppress us ever. If something knocks us down, we get back fucking up. I'm known for it in my fights. Yeah. I've been stopped, but I've never been stopped on the floor. Every time I've been stopped on my feet. In the Ant Scotford fight, he knocked me down 5 times, butchered me, absolutely butchered me. And I butchered him. It was a horrible fight to watch. Absolutely loved it. But the referee had to wave the fight off. He wouldn't let me continue. I wasn't knocked out. I refused to be. I'm a human. I can be knocked out like anybody can. But I refuse to be beaten. If I can still get back to my feet, I'm going to get back to my feet. In life, in a fight, in love, in death, whatever. I'm going to always find a way to get back to my feet. And I try and drill that into my daughter's head. It's like, life's going to fucking knock you back. At some point, it is going to put you down on your knees. But you get up, you dust yourself off, you recalibrate, you re-engage, and you get back out on the attack.
True leader of men there.
I actually stole that from a leadership book, so yeah. But yeah. So yeah, the first fight was a buzz, and it was what I wanted, and I found my purpose. The second fight, not so much. I had a big training camp for this one. I thought, you know what, if I can do that on 2 weeks' notice, I want like 6 months at this one. I got matched against the guy. The promoter told me, like, look, this guy's dangerous. He's like Romanian mafia,
Wow.
big time crook. He's going to bring a big crowd with him. Dangerous guy. He says he's the type of guy that, like, you lock him away and you break him out in case of a civil war.
Is this, oh my God.
Yeah.
Is this a bare knuckle at this point?
No, it's gloved.
Still gloved.
This is what sort of led to the bare knuckle. So I had high hopes for this fight.
So where was this taking place?
This was in Dudley, Town Hall.
So I'm just trying to paint a picture like a sort of sweaty kind
Oh, yeah,
of...
it's like a working men's club.
Yeah.
People smoke indoors. I know the smoking ban's been a thing for years, but still people smoke
Not
in
there,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, people smoke. It's a moody, dark, grim. It's Dudley. I don't know if you've ever been to Dudley.
I've been to Dudley, yeah.
Everywhere's moody, dark and grim.
Bit like Northampton.
A little bit, yeah. Moody crowd in there as well. So yeah, I'm told this guy's going to bring a crowd. He's Romanian mafia. He's a dangerous guy. He's been boxing for years. This, that and the other. So I use that as fuel. It's like, okay, well, I've got 6 months. So I reached out to a few of the other gyms in the area, and I started sparring with some bare knuckle lads, Dan Podmore, Connor Tierney, George Thorpe. Then I went over to Kennelly's, started training with the Kennelly's, another esteemed bare knuckle boxing outfit.
So that's how you were training?
Yeah, so I was training with these lads with the intention of, well, like, you know, these lads are hard kids.
Yeah.
They are tough as they come. If I can hang in there with them, I'll be all right with this geezer who's Romanian mafia and whatever else. Fight night rolled around. I'd made a lot of sacrifices for this fight. I was taking my daughter to the gym with me when I was sparring. She saw me get knocked out in sparring. There was a lot of sacrifices that happened. During this time as well, I'd got with my now current partner, and I was making a lot of sacrifices with her as well. You know, like I was a fighter.
Yeah.
There was date nights weren't a thing.
Yeah.
You know, we'd maybe go out for a steak and a glass of water. That was as exciting as it got.
Wow, romance they say is dead.
I know, she's a good one, to be fair. But yeah, she was on board and she was supportive, and she helped me out in every way that she possibly could. Second fight rolled around, and as soon as I got into the fight, I knew there was something off. I knew I'd been sold a lemon. This guy he may have been Romanian mafia, but he was not a hard person. He got in the ring, I looked at him, and he's looking at the floor, and he's looking at his cornerman, and I thought, he's not confident. And yeah, bell went. I steamed into him, stopped him in like a minute and a half.
Oh no, after 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months of graft, 6 months of sacrifices, 6 months of sparring some of the hardest lads on the circuit, getting fucking my nose broke and my eyebrows split open, and my daughter seeing me get knocked out and missing out on time with the missus and everything else. And I just cut through him like a hot knife through butter. He didn't want to be there. His corner threw the towel in. And
God, I'm surprised you didn't kill him.
to be honest, I tried to be respectful, and you know, I gave him a hug and I shook his hand. And as my cornerman took my gloves off and escorted me out of the ring, my head started to go, and I literally walked from the ring to the changing rooms, picked my bag up, and left the venue. Didn't say goodbye to anybody. Went and sat on a bench down in the high street, stone cold sober. Like, I hadn't even been to the bar. I'd sold like 80 tickets as well. There was 80 people there to watch this.
So you're embarrassed?
Yeah, a little bit. But just dejected. And I think the big thing was I didn't feel anything. He didn't hit me. Like, he didn't land a glove on me. And I think I was, in hindsight again, it's like, I kind of need to get hurt a little bit in fights. I need to have a bit of a war for me to enjoy the fight. Yeah. And I didn't get any of that. So that then made me think, well, maybe I need to up the stakes a little bit. In combination with training with all the bare knuckle lads and whatever else, I had this thing in the back of my head of maybe I should give bare knuckle a go. So I had a few more glove fights. I think I'd had 5 glove fights before I had my first bare knuckle fight. And I won all of I got a few draws, but I never lost. That came later. I think I've had 12 glove fights, lost 1. I've got 3 draws. So I've got a good gloved record. Yeah. Glove boxing does nothing for me. I've come to realise it doesn't excite me in the slightest. It's literally like paid sparring. Because once you've had a bare knuckle fight, you realise Boxing is a match. Bare knuckle is a fight. It's not it is a sport, but fuck me, it doesn't feel like a sport when you're in there. It feels like a professional pub brawl. It's a professional straightener, if you like.
Yeah.
It's there are rules, and there's gentlemen's agreements. You're not hitting each other in the back of the head. You're not trying to gouge each other's eyes out. But I'm trying to punch your eyeball out. I'm trying to break your nose. I'm trying to rip your lips off. Like, this is all very achievable things in bare knuckle.
Wow.
and with that, it's really fucking exciting because, the worst I've ever had in a gloved boxing match is a broken nose and a black eye. The worst I've had in a bare knuckle fight is multiple stitches, both hands broken. Add to that broken noses. I've had my ear hanging off. I've had like 9 stitches in my ear to reattach it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a hard, heavy sport, like. But when the stakes are that high, you feel something every fucking time.
I bet you bloody do.
Not just physically, like emotionally, mentally.
What is it?
I think it's a primal thing that I don't think society really talks about enough these days.
No, well, that's why I'm asking the question.
I think men are, on a biological level, we're built to do very few things.
Yeah.
Meant to fuck, fight, feed and die.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's what we evolved to do. There's more to it. There's care, there's love and whatever else. But basically, that was pretty much all you had in you before you eventually died at 26 years old.
Yeah.
To another caveman, clubbing you over your head and taking your women.
Yeah.
That's as simple as society was.
It was fairly basic back then.
Yeah. There was no office cubicle jobs. There was no aircon. There was no Wi-Fi. We had caves, clubs and enemies.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we had our own. We had our, the people that we protected. Society has dulled down a lot of the aspects of being a man.
Yeah.
Violence is not acceptable. My girlfriend's son goes to a school. He got into an altercation, and I remember the school got this mantra, and it's like kind hands, kind feet. Yeah, it's fucking terrible. That's the primary school I went to as well, which says a lot. That is horrific. That I understand with kids. Nobody wants the kid to get it. I understand that.
I suppose it's a rule that, but when you put it in perspective of what we're biologically driven to do, it's almost like that doesn't give enough context to the human experience, and so it's like just do what we say, and that kind hands, kind feet thing.
It's a litigation thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it boils down to. And I understand it. Protect your assets, but you can't change the nature of man. We do dull it down, and we do keep it very civil for the most part. And we have a lot of things in society now that try and curb masculinity.
True.
Safe spaces, this gender identity thing that's going on at the minute. The list goes on. But unfortunately, there are some people who refuse to be held down.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think you've got to measure me at this point. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not an overbearing person.
Not at all.
I'm not this typical alpha male image that you get. I've got no fucking ego. I'm very humble.
I agree.
That being said, it's still in my genetic code that fighting appeals to me.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that is, I don't entirely know. If you look at the caveman version of us, well, fighting would come in useful for a lot of things. To protect the people you love, to establish your territory, to establish dominance, to show who gets all the women, to show who gets all the food, whatever level it could be at, it is what it is. But it is in our reward structure that fighting does have, I don't know if it's an endorphin that gets released or a dopamine hit.
It'll be dopamine.
Yeah.
That's reward and motivation, isn't it?
It releases a colossal amount of dopamine, whatever hormone it releases, that gives you a feeling that Danny Christie actually summed this up best. He said, when you are in a fight, you are so tuned in, you can feel the atoms vibrate. And there is no truer statement. When you're in there, that experience is so singular. When I'm in a fight, I don't hear the crowd, I don't hear the cornerman. All I can hear is my heart beating, the breath going in and out of my lungs, the thuds when I'm hitting my opponent or when he's hitting me. Nothing else exists. There's no mortgage, there's no payments on your lease for your car, there's no relationship drama, there's no grief. Nothing else exists other than him. That's it. That's all there is there. And it's finding calm in moments of complete chaos.
Which is crazy when you think about what's about to happen, but it's the way your system, your entire cellular system, resonates with the present moment.
Yeah, you are completely tuned in.
Yeah.
And I think for somebody like me who's had flirts with mental health problems, had my share of long sleepless nights stuck in my own head, to be able to find something that is that distracting that you don't think about anything else, is therapeutic.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think some people can paint the image of fighters as people that are full of hate, people who are full of violence. You know, why else would you do something so barbaric? My last fight against Brad Donovan at the O2.
Who's coming on here.
Yeah, and you'll enjoy that. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Me and him were literally sharing pleasantries while we were trying to fill each other in. There's a clip going around. I'll send it you later. We exchange blows. He falls into me. I'll grab him in the clinch, which is like he grab the back of the opponent's neck and get ready to hit him. I'll grab him there. The ref says, stop boxing, puts his hands on us. And I go, I love you, bro. And he goes, I love you too, bro. I go, thank you, bro. And we push off. And then I knock him out. So yeah, it's an intimate moment as well.
Well, yeah, very.
Yeah, for all the reasons I can't really fathom, but you feel very connected with the person that you're fighting at any one time. I've never had an opponent that I've disliked. I've always had...
That fascinates me, right? Sorry to butt in here, but when it was the recent boxing match with... This is terrible. By the way, I'm 47 and perimenopausal, so I get brain fog. It will come to me in a minute. There's a recent...
I've got CT, don't worry about it.
Yes, we're both in that bag. This is a pointless exercise if I can't even remember the names, and I don't know why I can't remember the names.
Deontay Wilder and
yes,
Chisora.
Thank you so much, because I don't know why I forgot their names. They were being so nice to each other before the fight, and I was watching all the lead up to it. I said, I love all the psychology behind fighting. I'm not so keen on watching the matches. I don't mind watching it on the telly, but in person, not for me. But I love all the lead up to it. I love the conversations. I love trying to work out what they're thinking, what they're doing. I don't know why. I'm just nosy, I guess. Yeah. But I was watching it going, this is ridiculous. You two are being way too nice to each other. But you've literally just said, and I know bare knuckle fighting is brutal. You've literally just said the same thing. I actually really like them and I love them.
Yeah.
So how does that, I suppose because I'm a woman, it's trying to get your head around how you can like literally rip someone's ear off and love them at the same time.
I think different people struggle with it. Brad's openly said, because we had such a fun run up to that fight. You know, we were sending like videos backwards and forwards to each other, all respectful, but just like playful banter. I had my daughter with a bald cap on and turkey teeth in, pretending to be Brad, and I was holding my hand on her head in one of the videos. There was loads of like real good memories of mine in the run up to that fight. We had fun with each other. There was a lot that went on in that last couple of weeks of the fight camp. I'll come back to that in a second, but on fight night, I'm very good at switching it off. You know, you're my opponent, you're not my enemy until the bell goes, and then I'm gonna fucking skin you alive. And then when the referee says stop boxing, I can tell you I love you because the switch has gone the other way. And then when it's time to fight again, switch is back off and I'm cold again.
That quick.
And you know, I don't mean to say that to sound like a badass or whatever.
No, just how it operates.
I know myself at this point. I know that when I turn it off, it's off. Empathy, everything's gone. I'm just going to try and murder you. And then when I'm told to stop murdering you, I want to make sure you're okay. It's weird. I think it's being objective. I think that's what it comes down to.
Very true.
Just treating it like a job.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a massively important thing, actually, objectivity. We lack a lot of that.
There's a book, Beyond Good and Evil.
Not read it.
It's by one of the Stoics.
Aurelius?
No, it's the German one.
Something
Schnitzel. No.
Yeah, no, you're not far wrong.
Friedrich Nietzsche.
That's the one, Nietzsche. If we've said that right, I don't know.
Nietzsche.
Something like that.
Whatever. Just AI it. But there was a part, I read that book years ago. There was a part in that book where he was talking about the Germans during World War II, how some of the SS members who were responsible for massive atrocities, prior to that, they were policemen and firemen and people who protected, people who were good. And objectively, obviously there was a lot more to it. They had a charismatic leader who sort of, whatever. Their objective was do what you're told.
Yeah.
So although they were good people and they'd showed they were good people, they did switch it off.
Yeah.
Objective.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm like the SS.
No.
I feel like that might have been a bad comparison, but you
no,
get
but
where
I
I'm
hear
going
the
with
story.
it.
The story is that when men are asked to do a job, they will do that job.
Yeah.
And they will switch off everything else in order to get that job done.
Yeah.
Whereas women are built for nurture, you see. So we tend not
Hence
to be...
Hence the question, I suppose that's why it's a contradiction.
Yeah, but it's the biology, I think, of the man to be able to do that. But what's interesting is that you can flip between logic and heart really, really quickly, which probably actually means, and I would like to think this is that you're actually got a really good heart-mind coherence, but you know when, like, I'm in a life-death situation here, so the job's got to be done. Once I've done that, I can go back to being...
Perfect example of that. So, in the run-up to the fight with Brad, my dad was poorly. He basically had... The doctors have said that they suspect he'd had a fall previously and it created a slow bleed on his lung.
Oh, God.
Which took like 6 months to really come to fruition. One morning he woke up and his lung had collapsed. Oh. Basically, the sac around his lung had filled up with this blood and the pressure had squashed his lung. So he dealt with that for about 6 months while they were doing tests. They suspected it was cancer for a while. They did various scans, checks. Typical NHS, nothing happens fast. There was a misdiagnosis or two along the way and whatever. But 2 weeks before the fight with Brad, at the end of a very good training camp that I'd had, Dad had his operation to have his lung reinflated. So I took him to the hospital in the morning and he ushered me off. I had to get back to work and it saddens me a little bit, that does. It was like the last bit of time I actually spent with my dad was I had to rush off to get back to work. Not obviously knowing what I know now, but it is what it is. So yeah, I went back to work. Dad went in for his operation. I phoned him later that evening after he'd come out of surgery and he was slurring his speech and groggy and we assumed it was the anaesthetic wearing off, which it very well could have been, we don't really know. But then the next morning I got a call to say that he'd suffered a massive stroke in the evening. They just termed it a massive stroke. They said, we don't know the extent of it, but we know it's big. It's potentially both sides of his brain. So we're going to run him through for CT scans and whatever. So this was 2 weeks before the fight with Brad. Obviously, we all rushed up to the hospital. They're sort of going into... they took him into CT scan before we got there. When they came out, they said, look, the results are going to be sort of half an hour, but he's sedated. We're going to keep him sedated. Prepare yourselves when you go in there. It's not going to be pretty. There's a lot of doctors going to be buzzing around his bedside and tubes here, there and everywhere and whatever. So me, I can't really remember, to be fair. It was a bit of a blurry moment, but I think it was me and my sister Sarah and maybe my sister Holly went through into the ICU, I believe it was, and there was Dad, strapped to a bed, just fucking lifeless, being kept alive by respirator, feed tubes, and yeah, completely unresponsive, which was fucking mind-blowing to me because it was like, well, he came in for an operation to have his lung sorted.
You only just said see you later because you were busy for work or whatever.
Yeah, literally yesterday it was, I've got to go, Dad, because I've got to get back to work. And now he's had a fucking massive stroke. Like, this was meant to be the operation that fixed him. He'd spent 6 months effectively bedbound because of his reduced lung capacity. He was a big lad as well. He was like 20 stone. He actually lost 5 stone over that 6 months because he just couldn't eat, he couldn't get up, he couldn't do anything. Because he didn't have enough oxygen in his body to power such a big body. So yeah, a couple of days went by and I got a call. That period of time, we were up there all the time. Any visiting hours we could be there, we were there. I I ushered in some of his friends to like go and see him. I was like, look, he's had a stroke. He's completely non-responsive. But if this goes bad, you might want to see him now. And, you know, if it goes well, I'm sorry to have inconvenienced you, but it's better to go and see him if you can. And the last person to go up on the visiting thing was a guy called Dave Friday, who was Dad's old partner in the police, who'd also suffered a stroke previously, and it had sort of put him in a wheelchair and robbed him of a bit of his speech and various other things. But Dave and his son went up there, Matt, and I got a call from Matt when he landed saying, mate, I think you need to get here, something's going on.
Oh, God.
So I've jumped in the truck, headed up there, phoned all my sisters, everybody's got there. And we sort of handed over with Dave Friday and his son. We've gone in, grabbed the doctor. Well, the doctor's grabbed us and said, we need to go and talk. And sat down in the room, and they just said, look, there's... this was on the Monday, so I'm meant to be fighting on the Saturday. They said, look, there is absolutely no recovery possible for your dad. And when we say that, we mean we're not expecting anything. Like, you know, we're not talking it's going to rob him of his speech or his eyesight. Or
he ain't coming back.
Yeah, his heart can barely function enough to operate his lungs. And I was like, well, what the fuck do we do then? Like, what happens now? I said, I don't know what the process is to keep him on life support indefinitely, like until potentially. They said, no. They said, we turn life support off. We take the feed tubes out. We take the respirator off. And we basically let nature take its course. Again, going back to that previous moment of grief, I think I was in shock.
Yeah.
It was, again, like objective. It was like, well, what the fuck? Can you do this? No, can't do that. What about this? No, we can't do that. Okay. What do we need to do? It's like, well, they basically said, look, we'll take him into another room so he's got some peace, some dignity. And if you guys want to stay with him, we'll unplug the machines and we'll let nature take its course. It'll probably be an hour or two, and, you know, it'll happen. So that was Monday morning. Now, I sat by Dad's bedside Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, all the way to Thursday morning, and his heartbeat slowly dropped. His blood oxygen saturation slowly dropped, and he never showed any signs of fucking going. He was just stubborn fighter. And on the Wednesday night, I spent the night alone with him because my sisters had to go and sort out their kids and whatever else. And we had a nice night. I was playing some of his favourite songs and talking to him. And I got the chance to actually clear my chest and forgive him for a lot of things that I knew haunted him, like me having to go and live with Tracy. I knew that bothered him, that he made that choice. And I got to tell him that I forgave him for that. I got to forgive him for any of the shortcomings that I felt like that he carried. Like, we didn't have the best childhood, and I got to say these things to him, something I never had the chance to do before. So I'm thankful for that. But I also said to him, I was like, look, Dad, you would never let me pull out of a fight. You know, when I was a kid and other estate kids would turn up at the door wanting to fight me, you made me go outside and fight them, whether I was ill or whether I wanted to fight or not. You made me meet my obligation. I said, so whatever happens, Dad, I'm going to London and I'm going to fight Brad. I said, but I'm leaving on Thursday at 10 a.m. I've got to go down to London. I've got to weigh in. I've got to do all this fucking media shit. I said, I don't want to leave you. And like jokingly, I said to him, I was like, so if you're going to croak it, Dad, now's a fucking convenient time to do it because I don't want you to be on your own. Sure enough, night rolled round into morning. This whole week I'd been sleeping in a fucking chair like this, eating, bear in mind I'm meant to be cutting weight.
Yeah.
And I'm eating fucking biscuits and drinking cups of tea because that was all that was on hand. And Thursday morning, it's like 9 o'clock. my sister came up, Dad's still ticking, and 9:30 rolls around, 10 o'clock rolls around, and 10 o'clock was the cut-off. I had to leave at 10, and he was still there, and I said, Dad, I've got to go. And I remember almost like dismissing my sister, because I was like, I can't hang around here, and I've just got to go. I've just got to be objective and just fucking go and meet my obligation. And kissed Dad on his head and left. Went downstairs, walked up to the parking meter, just about to pay for parking, and my phone rings, my sister. So, as you need to come back. I was like, what's going on? She said, something's changed, you need to come back. And I've rushed back up the stairs, and sure enough, in that couple of minutes, everything had dropped by half.
He waited for you to go.
He waited for... I feel like he just wanted to spend as much time with me as he could before he went.
He did. That is definitely what he wanted.
And sure enough, he went. And I'm honoured to have been able to spend that last bit of time with him. Not everybody gets that.
No.
A lot of people get a phone call to say your parents passed away. Your dad's not coming home.
Your
whatever.
dad literally waited for you to leave that room.
He did.
He did.
And yeah.
Which, do you know what? That says so much about him. Even in those final moments, he's like, I don't want to do this in front of him. I want him to go off and do that fight. I'm going to wait until it's time for him to leave.
I thought this.
Is absolutely what happens. He was, like you said, he was a fighter, so he fought to give you that moment to be able to leave.
Bless you.
Peter
Ashton, my dad. But yeah, with that, I met my obligation. I literally left there and I flicked the switch. Went home, packed a bag, went to the barber's, cut my hair, cut my beard, got in the truck, grabbed my girlfriend, drove to London, had a fight.
Wow.
And
which is what he would have wanted.
Yeah, it 100% is. And it was a special fight for me.
Oh my God, it must have been a different type of fight, that one.
Yeah, I mean, preparation-wise, obviously I've been in hospital for a week. The week before, I'd been up and down the hospital, so I hadn't trained for the last 2 weeks. The night before, I had to cut weight, so I had to get in a scalding hot bath full of salt. And spend an hour in there, and then do the same again the next morning. I'd completely dehydrated, no food, nothing, because I just had to be empty. Managed to make weight. But it was weird, like, from the moment he passed away, from the moment he took his last breath, literally, I felt, like, looking back at it, I can see the switch flicking. I left there and I was, right, objective. I need to let Dad's sister know. I need to let the family know. I need to save time. I've got to sort this out. I'll just put a post up on Facebook, let everybody know, and then, then ignore my phone while I'm sorting out this and this. Then drive to London, sort out parking, okay, get into the hotel, meet all the BKB media and staff, quickly check my weight, okay, get some lunch. Okay, now back upstairs, up into the hotel, okay, shower, change, sort all my stuff out so it's ready for the next day. Okay, get into bed, switch flicked again. I just cried my fucking eyes up for an hour.
Wow.
And then slept. I really fucking slept. But I hadn't slept all week. And then woke up the next day, flicked the switch again. Media, interviews, face-offs, weigh-ins, all the rest of it. And you know what? Like, again, testament to Brad. I think Brad wanted me to win the fight more than I wanted to win the fight after what I'd been through. While I was at the hospital, I was talking to Brad. He's very much in the loop on what was happening. And he even said, like, are you sure you want to go through with this? And I was like, mate, I
need to.
I don't just want this fight now, I need this fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was with me all the way. Like, he's a brother to me, Brad is, and he will be forever.
Well, you shared an amazing moment, like no other fight you'll ever have, I'm sure.
No. And, that fight was special for so many fucking reasons. At the last minute, I changed my walkout music and we played T-Rex, 20th Century Boy.
Wow.
Which was my dad's favourite song.
Which is a massive tune as
well.
Yeah,
it's a tune, especially at the O2 in London.
After that whole week that you'd had, that must have been unbelievable for you.
Again, it was auto. I didn't take any of it in.
No.
It was autopilot, but it was a nice testament to my dad. I went down there, I did the business, I won, BKB were very aware of the situation. They put my dad's picture up on the broadcast, so millions of people saw it.
Wow.
Millions of people heard the commentators read out the post I put on Facebook as I was walking to the ring. Me basically explaining who my dad was, what he was to me, and how he'll be remembered. And to watch the video back and hear that, that's a special moment for me.
Of course.
I know I've made my dad proud. I know I made him proud anyway. That ain't up for debate. But as an ultimate mark, it's like the end of his the last page of his story.
Yeah.
Is his son headlining the O2 in London.
It's huge.
And not only that, his picture got fucking shown on the broadcast.
Yeah.
And he got a big mention out of it. So, I'm happy with that.
Do you know what?
Was a nice end to a sad story.
And everything that he was, and I know I said earlier on, as parents, we are flawed as well as we are great parents, hopefully most of us. But he taught you so much that you employed in that final stretch of this fight. Resilience. Never give up. Yeah. Like what you say to your daughter, he'd obviously gifted you that DNA and you were able to just show him. And I truly believe that energy never dies, like from the law of physics alone, that it just gets redistributed and
transfers.
Yeah. And I truly believe that he would have definitely the energy, because it goes to where it's needed most, and you would have been the one that needed it most.
I definitely needed it in that moment, yeah.
And I think it got transferred to you, and I think that for that reason he was there fully with you. His energy would have been transferred. It is the law of physics, the law of quantum entanglement, all of these things. There's so many reasons that I could go into for why I believe in that. And I know some people believe that after someone's dead, that's it. But it's earth to ash. I've said it so many times now. I talk about death a lot. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes. Ecosystem. You're part of the environment forever. But the energy being transferred, which is proven and hasn't been disproved yet, there's so much in that.
Like you say, though, lessons, the lessons are a form of energy.
Yes, they are.
The impact that he's had on my life is a form of energy. My friend who passed away, he's impacted on me. A big reason why I sort of started to grab life by the bollocks after his death was because of the fact that I had this realisation of, fuck me, life's short.
Yeah, very short.
All of a sudden, you're done telling stories.
Yeah.
All the stories that get told about you, all the stories that'll ever be told about you. Your legacy is done now. It's set in stone.
Yeah.
It will never get any bigger.
Yeah.
And it will only get smaller over time as people forget. But for me, that's another point of contention. It's like, that's what I want out of this, my legacy. Like I said, it ain't just that my daughter remembers me. It's that I'm remembered, that my family remember me, that my friends remember me, the people from where I'm around, the people who message me and say you're an inspiration. I want them to remember me. In the same way, like on my dad's death, when I say remember me, I don't want to be a fucking celebrity. I don't
I don't think you mean that. I think you inspire people.
Yeah, I
to
want to be
leave that
remembered
energy
for the good reasons. When my dad passed away, it amazed me how far-reaching his impact was. People messaged me from Australia who were like distant cousins of him, recanting like childhood stories from when they were over here. And it's like,
you never know who you're leaving an imprint on.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And you doing things like this, by the way, there'll be someone that listens to this that neither of us will ever know or see in some part of the world, and they will go, oh my God, I really needed to hear that. That pay it forward thing, I refer to it all the time, because we can't underestimate the importance of giving the gift of a story.
Massively.
The story of our lives can literally put someone on a different track.
Well, I've had it happen. I've done, it was one of the really small podcasts I did when I first got started. I think I'd only had one bare knuckle fight. I was kind of no big deal at this point. Not saying I'm a big deal now, but kind of a big deal. There was a guy who messaged me basically saying, I've listened to your podcast. I've been through very similar. I'm going out of my mind at the minute. I'd be interested in boxing. Can I come to the gym? I was like, fucking of course you can. And that was it. He was at the gym. He started training. We got him a fight. He'd sorted his life out. It was the I didn't say it sorted his... I didn't mean it sorted his life out. It gave him enough distraction so he could sort his life out. And it put him on the right path. Another guy I've got to give a shout out to, Cal Stanley. He's a guy I coach, and he's gravitated towards me. I know why it is, because the nature of who I am. He hasn't come to me because I'm the best bare knuckle boxer, because there's better bare knuckle boxers than me fucking 2 towns over. Not much better though. But he's gravitated towards me because I'm real, I'm honest, I'm humble.
Yeah.
But I'll be truthful as well, and I'll tell you exactly where you're at. And, you know, I'm as much about the mind as I am about the physical stuff. You can go and pay anybody 30 quid a session and they'll get you fit. I'll sit down and pick your brain apart, and I'll figure out what makes you tick, what your motivation to get into this is, and how we can double down on that, where your brain goes in those dark places, and how we can use that.
I mean, yeah, what a mentor.
Well, this is what you need, you know. And this is why I think bare knuckle attracts slightly broken people, like Cal is. Like Cal is, he's had his share of mental health troubles. He was an alcoholic. He's paranoid schizophrenic, diagnosed, hears voices. He has sleep terrors.
Yeah, they call it the sleep paralysis, where they
sleep paralysis. And he has this wolf that sits on his chest and growls at him. And when he's hearing voices, it's the wolf speaking to him. He's comfortable with me sharing this as well. He's already he's already shared it himself publicly. So I gave him the name El Lobo, which is Spanish for the wolf.
Wow,
that's his ring name. I'm getting choked up over Cal.
But it's because of the impact we all have on each other.
And I can see the impact on him.
Yeah.
I can see how important it is to him. And that for me is a rewarding thing. You know, this guy, he's a broken kid. He's not just had a rough period. He's got a mental health disease.
Yeah.
This isn't just he's had a bit of a rough upbringing.
Something controls his actual mind and his brain.
As far as I'm aware, it can't be fixed. No. Sort of it could be controlled to a degree.
Yes, that's right.
But he's found solace in bare knuckle boxing. Not only that, he's 3-0. He's undefeated, and we've been in the 7 months I've known him. He didn't do much of anything before that. A little bit of combat stuff, but since getting our heads together, he's 3-0. He's undefeated in the most easy to lose sport in the world. He's got a better record than I have.
Wow.
And he's just it's all in my opinion because he's troubled. Because he's been in dark places, he's almost become comfortable being in dark places. So when you're comfortable with a wolf sat on your chest in the middle of the night, speaking utter fucking darkness to you, then what's having a fist fight with another man in comparison?
I mean, yeah, when you put it like that, it's incredible, isn't it?
It's interesting sport. Obviously it's a violent thing for the outsider looking in.
I mean, like I said to you earlier, and you sort of said the same, I don't want to be there live watching it because it is brutal. But this side to it, hearing about your story and where you go and how it switches on and off and, you know, the impact of what it has on your life and therefore others, that's just so beautiful, actually. Something so brutal can be so beautiful at the same. It's the polarity of life, isn't it?
It's almost poetic.
It is almost
Genuinely
poetic.
Is. There's a lot of life lessons that you learn in there. You really learn what you're made of as well. Like I know I could endure some shit anyway because of the way my life's panned out, but I didn't realise how much I could endure physically.
Yeah.
Again, if people haven't watched it, watch me versus Ant Scotford at Cardiff. You'll see what resilience looks like.
Yeah.
In its purest form. He hammered me. I hammered him. We hammered each other.
Beasts.
It is the most violent fight that you will see. There are litres of blood in that fight. There are multiple broken bones in both our faces and hands.
Jesus Christ.
The mat was coated with blood and it's exciting. There was not a quiet second in that fight. We were like two pit bulls going at each other. But the Brad fight was good because it was a big victory off the back of, my dad. But I look back at that Ant fight and think that's a testament to who I am. That
showed you your resilience.
I'm unbreakable.
Yeah.
I am unbreakable.
Yeah.
I won't be stopped.
Yeah.
If I set my mind to a task, you're going to have to kill me. You're going to have to kill me to stop me because...
That does... I mean, I do believe you, actually. I do believe that there's no stopping you unless
it's the washing up or something, in which case I'll tap out pretty easy at that.
I mean, that is hilarious that the washing up gets you more than near being ripped off.
You know what is funny, though? I do get more nervous about certain things that would be, menial to most people.
I bet.
Than I do over a fight.
Give me an example.
What was something I had to do the other day? Bike insurance. I had to phone up and add a bike onto my insurance policy, and the idea of sitting through the oh, can we add this policy?
I am with you on that.
It sent me into like anxiety.
Yeah, I can't deal with it.
I didn't deal with it.
I told you about the burst water pipe earlier, right? So for those that don't know, there was a burst water pipe above my therapy room. Niagara Falls came through the ceiling. Needed to, sort a few things out. Thought about the insurance, because obviously I could have claimed, except for those that have had a burst water pipe. If it's wear and tear, insurance won't cover it. They'll only cover repair and damage. It's like I'm doing an advert right now. Right. And I just thought, I cannot be bothered to sit for hours on the phone to Aviva, right, who's happened to, I'm insured by, and explain the whole malarkey, pay the excess, have the premiums go up, and like wait for 2 hours.
And then field the inspectors and all the rest of the bullshit that comes along with
that. So I'm with you. Yeah. Those sorts of tasks, I ain't got time for that.
Fight to the death, I'm here for it. Booking a flight, no.
Yeah, I'm the same, except for I don't want to fight.
Somebody else do it.
The menial admin tasks of life I can't do. I can deal with chaos, not quite the level of chaos that you can, but I cannot do those menial admin tasks. My brain just goes, no way.
Yeah, I'm not built for it.
Speaking of bike insurance, before we wrap this amazing story, I've been gripped from the minute you walked through the door,
I've enjoyed
actually.
this conversation, and I think I managed to keep most of the tears in as well, so that's good.
I have not stopped being excited the whole way through. You're a great storyteller first.
Thank you.
But you spoke about bike insurance, and we have to cover a little bit of the fact that you're with a very famous bike club who I think I said this at the beginning, are probably misunderstood by a lot of my listeners. And I get about, around 15,000 on average. So out of those 15,000 followers that I hear from, I'm pretty sure a lot of them, mainly female, I may add, probably don't understand bike clubs. So tell me about bike clubs.
Okay. Well, spoiler alert, we like bikes. That's
number one.
The fundamental connecting factor. We've all got bikes. We all like bikes. We all like riding bikes.
Particular types of bikes?
Mainly Harleys.
Yeah.
Mainly Harleys. I'm a little bit more old school. My dad always had Japanese bikes like Suzuki's and Kawasaki's and whatever. So I've always gravitated more towards them. And I can't really afford a Harley either because they're really fucking expensive.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
And not very reliable. And I like something that works every day. But most of the club lads have got Harleys. I have got a Harley. I just never ride it. So basically, the main factor that we're all together is our mutual love of motorbikes. But with the nature of being a club, it's exclusive.
Yeah.
You are either selected or you're approached or you approach them about being a member. I'm a member of the 81 crew, which is attached to the Wolverhampton Hells Angels. We are very much modelled on the Hells Angels. So everything we do, we do everything with them anyway. But the aspects of the life that really appeal to me is, I'll give you the buzzwords, it's camaraderie, brotherhood, accountability, responsibility, and blah, 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 blah. But when you boil it down, it's being a part of something. Which
comes full circle, doesn't it? Because you didn't feel like you had that space.
I've never had stability in my life.
Yeah.
Everything has been very, I think transactional is probably the wrong word, but...
it's been movable.
Yeah, malleable.
Malleable, yeah.
The bike club was not malleable. The bike club's been around since way before I was born, and it'll be around way after I passed away.
Yeah.
And its expectations of you will remain the same.
Rules.
Yep, and your expectations of it will remain the same. I find peace knowing that there's structure, there's stability, and there's integrity around me at all times.
Yeah.
The people that I'm around, you've got obligations you need to meet to be a member. If you are accountable, if you're honest, if you're responsible, you've got a place. If there's a transgression on any of those fronts, you're out. Well,
Simple.
That's good, because I don't want those sorts of people around me.
Yeah.
I want people around me that I can trust.
Yeah.
Not just trust as in, I can trust them. As in, that person's not going to fuck me over. That person's not going to let me down. And I've been let down enough throughout my life. They are a solid, a consistent, where I know if I pick that phone up at 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody's going to answer. And if it can be anything from, I'm back in crisis, my life's fell apart, somebody will be there, all the way through to, mate, there's something going on outside my house. Like, I've got my kid here, and somebody will be there. You've got a solid, dependable group of men around you at all times.
Yeah.
There's a misconception about the bike club that it's like, and don't get me wrong, there are aspects of it that are true, like, tattoos, loud bikes, bit of a boisterous behaviour, lots of testosterone. That is all true.
But it goes back to what you were saying about the cavemen.
Yeah. Well, this is it. We are a group of men that have stripped away all the bullshit of society.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've all got jobs.
Yeah.
We've all got incomes. We all have to dip our toe into, our various...
modern worlds.
Yeah. We all exist in the modern world, but we've carved a little place where we can exist by our own rules. And that appeals to me.
Yeah.
When we go to our clubhouse, it's gated off to the general public. You're only coming in if you're invited in.
Yeah.
And, the byproduct of that is we filter out any of the bullshit or any of the people we don't want around us.
Yeah.
Which is fucking important, because you can't do that at work. At work, you've got to be around some people you don't want to be around.
So true.
You can't do that in Sainsbury's. You're going to be shopping with that fucking... You can't do it in your street. Everyone's got that neighbour who every time you come out the house, they come out the house and have to have a 20-minute conversation with you.
Oh, God, yeah.
Say no names. We ain't got that here. And the other thing I like about it is... it's not a taboo thing to be honest with each other. It's expected of you. So if you don't like somebody, you have the fucking conversation with them and say, you've let me down with this. I was expecting you to be here at this time. You weren't here at this time. You gave me your word. Like, as a man, that's a very important thing, or it should be anyway.
Yeah.
If your word is everything in my world, in the bike world, there's no contracts. There's no formal agreements. Everything's done on your word.
Handshakes as well. I
Everything's done on a
love those.
handshake.
I love those contracts.
Handshake and a hug. A lot of hugging in the bike world as well, I realised.
Love that.
Yeah, and me. I was never a hugger. And you know what? There's a lot of love in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. This is going to sound gay. I'm a big fan in telling other men that I love them.
I love that.
But you know what, though? Like, I would die for these people. So, of
Yeah.
course, I fucking love them.
Yeah.
You would die for something that you love.
Can I say something here? Because I get accused a lot of saying I love things too much. Because I do generate a lot of love. I just feel it all the time. It's just there all the time. It's in me. But I like to share that.
Yeah.
And if I meet you and think, I've said it a few times, I love Kev Lane. I love Danny. I love these characters. I don't know them that well. I know them well enough, but not like we hang out every Saturday night for 10 years. I just feel like I love them. And I'll probably say the same about you. And then people go, well, do you mean it then? Yes, I absolutely 100 million% mean that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love that. But I think there's an important distinction in that. Like, I love this blossom tree, but I'm in love with my missus.
Yeah, there is a big difference.
Yeah. If you're in love with this blossom tree, it's a bit weird. Probably need to see somebody like you and try and figure out where things went wrong. But yeah, I do think, for me, the bike club has brought that many positives to my life. Again, the support that they give you as well. So for me, selling tickets as a fighter has always been a headache, especially because I travel around quite a lot. 1 week I'll be in Cardiff, then the next week I'll be in Leeds, and the next week I'll be in London. The club don't care about mileage.
Yeah.
Any excuse to ride their bikes to come and watch you fight, they're
Of
here
course,
for it.
it's their whole day out.
So whenever I put up a fight poster, A, they all share it, they get behind it. B, they rally everybody to come to it. And C, they all fucking show up when they say they're going to show up. If some fighters will know this, but how many times have you been let down on ticket sales where people will say, I'll have a ticket off you, save it till payday. Well, in the bike world, your word's your bond.
Yes.
So if somebody says, I'll have it payday, you better fucking come and get it payday.
I mean, it's like the best family you could ask for, really.
Society would be much simpler. There'd be much less bullshit.
Yeah.
And you could actually trust the people around you a lot more if it was more like it's in the bike club where your word is everything.
Yeah.
I have to be honest about things that I don't even want to be honest about. Like there was something, I think it was like a bike night or something, and I'd said I was going to be there. And the day rolled around, I got horrifically drunk the night before. And I had to say, honestly, like I could have quite easily gone in the conversation and said, oh yeah, no, I think I've got the man flu, or the car won't start, the bike won't start, or whatever. But I had to be honest, it was like, I'm hungover. I feel fucking poorly. I've done it all to myself, and I'm really sorry. But I'm being honest with you, I can't make it. And that is important in itself. The fact that it forces you to be honest about things. Everyone can say, "Oh yeah, I'm feeling a bit under the weather," but it takes a man to be honest and make yourself look like a bit of a.
True.
So society could learn a lot from it.
I agree.
Genuinely could. And I think it's for society as a whole, it's a good thing to have us around.
I agree.
You know, we don't subscribe to everybody's way of thinking.
Yeah.
We're not trying to please people. We are our own people. We've got our own identity.
Yeah.
It's the same for bike clubs up and down the world.
Yes.
Everybody in that thing is in it for the same reasons. It's because they want to be around people who are loyal to them. They want to feel like they're part of something. They want solidarity. They want security.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean physical security. That is an aspect of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But emotional security.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to be let down by these people.
Yeah.
I can fucking hand on heart tell you, and that doesn't just apply to the people in your local chapter. It applies to the people in Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester. They're all the same because you're a part of their club.
Yeah.
They got your back, whatever you need.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's stories that I'm not actually that interested in, which I'm sure another podcast host would be about, you know, gaining entry. But the most important thing for me is this. We now lack in society law and order. And I think there are a lot of people, and I speak as a woman saying this, that just don't feel safe anymore. And I feel that's because we don't have, like back in the maybe 50s and 60s, there were rules.
Yeah.
You didn't mess with certain areas, certain people, and you knew if you did, you were in trouble. So everyone kind of stuck to the rules. Now we have carnage on the streets. In Northampton alone, there is another death by knife crime almost every week now. And the kids are lost. The mums and the wives are feeling petrified. Men are lost. Men don't know how to be men anymore because you've got some people on social media talking about how to be a man that clearly don't have any qualifications in that area or whatsoever.
I know a few.
Yeah. And then you've got other people that are quietly just being men that probably, like you say, are in some club or, you know, some kind of members only area where they can actually be men without being judged for it. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the other men that are in between going, I don't know how the bloody hell to get by in life anymore, because if I say this, I'm a misogynist. If I do this, then I'm gay or whatever it is that you get called now. And I just think, well, how about just understanding the underpinning morality of it all and actually going, well, whether I know a lot about what goes on in the initial stages or not, the overarching theme I'm getting is that there's safety, protection, truth, honesty, loyalty, integrity. These are the things that we need in society.
And it's not just exclusive to bike clubs. It's the same with my gym, the boxing gym. Everybody in there, they're brothers to me.
Yeah.
You know, I've got their back, they've got my back. It's the same at the weightlifting gym that I go to. And it's the same across the board with any sort of...
club organisation type thing.
Yeah, anything. You know, I know lads who like in rugby clubs.
Yeah.
And, you know, their calendar is solely dictated by rugby tours and games. And these things are important for men.
Yeah, they are.
I didn't realise how important they were until I stumbled into them.
Well, yeah, because you were that boy on his own.
Yeah. I didn't, you know, my dad was a copper. He was never going to guide me to be around the Hells Angels.
No.
As much as he respected them. And, you know, Dad...
Well, that's the interesting thing as well. The way the police actually do seem to respect the Hells Angels, which I think that's fascinating in itself, that relationship.
Yeah. I just know that when I was a kid, I longed to be a part of something like what I'm a part of now. And I think if you look back at that, objectively, it kind of makes you go, well, there must be something about that draws to a child's inner workings.
Yes.
Obviously, you've got big tattoo blokes riding motorbikes. You know, they look. Let's call it what it is. It's cool. It's very cool. And it appeals to me. But I feel like the older I've got, the more I can see past that and like, you know what, there's community here.
Yeah.
You know, we've done charity runs. We've done loads of charity runs. We've raised thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds for charities. We've done toy runs to hospitals, Easter egg runs to hospitals. There is a non-stop stream of things that I'm involved in because of the club that they bring a smile to my face.
Yeah.
It's like we're giving back to the community.
Yeah. And it goes unsaid a lot of the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people try and like poo-poo it as, oh, well, because they've had a bad reputation in the past, they're trying to just save face by doing this.
Well, I said this to Marcus Redwood actually last week because a few people doubt his reasons for doing what he does for charity. I'm like, listen, it don't matter what your reasons are. If you're doing good, you're doing good.
Doubting the reasons for doing charity.
But you know that says a lot more about the person judging you than it does about you doing the job of charity. Like if someone looks at you and goes, well, I don't trust that guy that raises £5,000 for kids at Christmas. You kind of have to wonder what's going on in your head to have that thought in the first place.
What did kids do for you?
Yeah. So, you know, whatever anyone says about why people do charity, at the end of the day, if someone somewhere benefits from that charity, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the truth of it is, though, some people just, they've got that little going on in their lives.
Yes.
That they could pick a fault with anything.
Yeah, you're right.
Small-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, they'll see 300 Hells Angels on bikes doing a charity run.
Yeah.
And all they'll see is the loud, noisy bikes holding up traffic. They won't see the thousands of pounds that are being raised.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, if you want to exist in that bubble of negativity, then you can continue to do so.
Yeah.
Because all it's going to lead to is despair.
Yeah.
We'll just lead straight to the hospital and we'll deliver the toys that we need to deliver, and we'll deliver
and it's a
lot of happiness.
spectacle. It's a spectacle. It's like watching the Red Arrows or something. It's something you don't see it. Well, I don't see it every day.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing that, like, yes, there's a gesture there. Yes, there's toys being delivered. I'm talking about the toy run specifically at Christmas. The Wolverhampton Hells Angels do a toy run where thousands of presents are donated to the club. And then we jump on the bikes, we ride to New Cross Hospital in Wolverhampton, and we deliver them. Now, a lot of people see the gesture. They see the present delivery, the bikes or whatever. What they don't see is the impact that has on a little kid.
Of course.
You know, I've been that little kid. I remember being on the bus with Tracy, the woman who lived with me, going past the gates at the Fort, Wolverhampton, Penn Road, the Hells Angels clubhouse. And I remember thinking, that's fucking cool, that is.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what's behind them gates. Now, obviously, I get to go behind the gates, and it is cool. But it's the same for the kids at the hospital. Having those bikes turn, like, what a fucking experience for them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all of these bikes and all of these big, angry, hard-looking blokes have
Like
turned
rock
up
and roll stars.
with presents
Yeah.
for us. So, yeah, it's to be a part of something like that, you know. I've never done, like, charity work up until the last couple of years. And that's not because I'm a spiteful person. It's just never really had the opportunity. But now I've started helping out with bits with these guys. It's such a rewarding experience. I kick myself for not getting involved with stuff sooner. This is it's a different kind of feeling. Like seeing that you've made an impact on somebody's life, especially somebody downtrodden.
Yeah.
It's massive.
And you don't understand how far that goes for that person.
No. Like prom runs, as silly as it sounds, prom runs.
Yeah.
Getting to like a friend of the club. I'll have a daughter who's, you know, going to the prom.
That's amazing.
And she'll be escorted there by like 40 bikes. Like that's awesome. Like,
that
I
is
love
awesome.
That. Yeah, I shouldn't be excited about going to a prom.
But in that case, we can let you off.
Knowing how much of an imprint it's going to have had on that kid, it's like, that's cool as fuck.
That is the coolest way to arrive at a prom ever.
Yeah, I've done a lot of these prom runs now, and it's better than Lamborghinis and
of course it
G-Wagons.
is.
Yeah, get the Hells Angels. That'll do it. People will be talking about that for a while.
Well, forever.
Forever.
If you're that kid at that prom, that boy, they're standing there going, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
That is a moment never to be forgotten.
Exactly.
It's just like the story, and you are a great storyteller. The story that you've told today, which is your story, it's not just a story, it's your life, takes us from this kind of introverted little boy that grew up in a home where it wasn't perfect, put it that way. There was some abandonment. You know, obviously a severely disabled sister as well, which I know you still care for, who I know you still care for. And, you know, the relationship with your dad, and then the relationships, your first real relationships with women, losing a best friend, going through the dark period of your life, and then literally coming back out of the dark and just turning up in a way that most people will never fully experience or understand. Being unbreakable, teaching your daughter these laws, I guess, of the Ashtons, and then carrying this forward as a coach, but also continuing to fight, and the loss of your dad and the club that you're now in, and how you've eventually found love with your girlfriend, but also stability within that club. I mean, it isn't the normal story.
No, it's had its ups and downs. But again, like, I've spent a big chunk of my life not liking the person I am, and being almost borderline bitter about circumstances and other people's choices, and everything that's been a contributing factor into making me the person I am. But now I am that person. I'm thankful for every fucking single turn.
There you go.
And I'm happy with the person I am now.
Yes.
And I know for a fact there's not many people who can look in the mirror and go, "You're pretty fucking cool." And I do look in the mirror and go, "You're pretty fucking cool."
I love that.
I have enough moments these days, like when I'm doing a podcast with yourself, or doing a podcast with Kevin Lane, or, texting people as friends that I grew up watching fight on the internet. And, I have people, again, going back to 14-year-old me and what this would do for me, I have people now messaging me who are some of the hardest men in the country, saying I'm one of the toughest men in the country. And it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. I'm just that, still in my head, I'm still that little fat dork who used to smoke weed in the bedroom and eat pizza. And now I'm one of the toughest men in the country. Where the fuck did that come from?
I mean, it's a massive
stretch.
Kind of, yeah.
It's a fucking stretch.
But okay, so to wrap this up beautifully, which has been for me, it's been another beautiful episode. I feel so privileged, by the way, that you've come today.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it.
It's such a privilege, honestly. And I'm so grateful for you being here and giving up time. I really am. But I want to kind of wrap it up beautifully, because there will be people listening to this. It might not be as it's released. It might be 6 months from now, a year from now. They'll find it and they'll put your name in the internet and they'll see this episode. And they might be exactly where you were when you were like, what is the point, really? Someone's hurt them, or they've lost someone that they love, or they've just grown up in an environment where they haven't got any confidence or self-esteem, and they've lost hope. What would you say to those people?
Keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Keep pushing forward. You will feel like quitting at times. There will be times where your burden feels uncarryable. But if you can carry it, carry it. If you can pick yourself up, pick yourself up. The cliche saying is the most truthful saying you'll ever hear, but fucking life goes on. If you're going through a breakup, you're not going to forget about your partner. She's going to forget about you, or he's going to forget about you. So you just need to carry on. You just need to keep pushing forward. If you've lost somebody, life goes on. I lost my dad 2 days before a fight at the O2. I still went, I still fought, I still won. I buried my dad 3 weeks ago. Obviously, it was an upsetting time. That was where grief really started to hit in.
Yeah.
But I haven't let it sideline me. I haven't stopped. I've just picked myself up and I've kept pushing forward.
So fresh.
This is what you need to do. And it's the same with anything in life. You get sacked, keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
You get knocked down, keep pushing forward.
Pivot.
You fail your driving test, keep pushing forward.
Yes.
That's all there is to it. You've just got to do it with a smile on your face. And that's
let me say this one thing, because I think this is a really important bit to finish on, actually. Everything you've said is absolutely true. But one thing I noticed about you throughout your entire story is you were able to, at times it wasn't to your benefit, although actually retrospectively it has added to the story and made you who you are today. But you've been able to shift identities, a bit like a transformer. In other words...
I was transsexual.
Well, what you do behind closed doors is got
2026, don't judge me.
Whatever you do is up to you. But as a transformer, in the sense that you haven't accepted that the identity that you thought you were is the identity you had to be. You haven't accepted that when you went through your dark period and you started to do things that were slightly off the Richter scale of, legal, that wasn't the identity that you had to be. In other words, you've chosen who you want to be. And the greatest lesson, I think, is whatever your circumstances are, however much pain you're in, you always have a choice. And you've always... and I think... that moment with the letterbox, looking through, seeing the kids, that was a life-changing moment. I know there's more that's happened, but you've always gone, actually, and I don't think this has been conscious, actually, I think it's been largely unconscious, I have a choice of who I turn up as. I know a lot of people have gone through trauma, me being one of them, and lots of people have. There's millions and millions, billions of people that have had horrendous traumas in their life. But it doesn't have to become your identity. It doesn't have to become who you put out into the world. You literally get to choose. This brain is a supercomputer.
Mm-hmm.
And it can keep on being a supercomputer as long as you allow yourself to believe in it. You are never limited or fixed, ever. And so what we've learnt from your story is you've done that, you've transformed, and you've grown and you've developed and you've chosen who you're going to be.
I like that.
Yeah, it's the truth. And I really admire that in people, because it's so easy to believe the bullshit of your own mind.
Yeah.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, you can actually dictate who you are.
Yeah.
And you can't just choose and it happens.
Yeah.
You have to work at it.
And you need good people as well. I think what's beautiful about your stories, you mentioned Steve earlier, and these moments.
That was the first person that came to mind when you said you need good people around you.
Yeah.
Massively
that's
important.
Just so profound. And even the bad people. Do you know what I mean? Like even those bad moments where we go, oh God, why did that have to happen to me? Well, in your story, we can see why those moments had to happen to you.
Yeah, I needed it.
Yeah.
I needed it.
You needed to wake up.
How could I get from that person I was then to this? Well, that was the mechanism.
It was the pivot. And within that, it's really important to say that you've got to trust the process. However much pain you're in, you've got to trust it, because you don't know what's round the corner, through the next door.
And always be ready.
Yeah.
Always be ready, because them opportunities come at you. And if you're not ready, you will kick yourself.
Yeah, blink and you miss it. And you've got to be open to it. And your energy is wonderful.
Thank you. So's yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Aaron Ashton. I knew this would be good, but I feel so full of love and joy and inspiration and motivation. I feel so amazed at your story. And, like I said, there's hundreds of thousands, millions, billions of stories out there, but yours is just so... There's such a curve and there's so many pivots and twists and turns, and the person that you've become is just exactly what we need in society right now.
I needed that. Thank you.
No, it's true.
I appreciate that.
I mean every word of it. And I hope those that have listened and watched and enjoy this episode will see exactly what I mean when I say that. And you really are a gentle giant and a really important kind of character in this world.
Start blushing into it. You have to stop.
No, but you are. And so for your daughter, for your girlfriend, for all of these people that get to spend time with you, you're really, 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 really wonderful.
Thank you. I'm proud of myself.
Good. What an amazing way to end. We'll end there.
Thank you, Ella.
Thank you again.
Cheers.
That was wonderful.